No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
It's time for Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. From what's happening on the Blue at Boise State to the Mountain West and beyond. The biggest storylines, the best guests, and most outlandish opinions from two dudes who eat, sleep, and breathe college football. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. You can also pick up any of Western Collective's beers or vodka seltzers at most major retailers in Idaho. Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny, featuring former Boise State quarterback and longtime coach Mike Sanford and KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Johnny Mallory on Bronco Nation News.
To episode 10, Ball Talk. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the BNN Nation. Another edition, just talking ball, Boise State, the CFP, college football in general. I'm John Mallory, my partner, former Boise State offensive coordinator, longtime coach, also a player at Boise State. You know him, you love him, Mike Sanford. And I think your dad won again, old senior, into another Las Vegas high school football state championship game.
Yeah, a little quarterfinals of the state championship. Actually, they do it with Northern Nevada and Southern Nevada. So this weekend is the championship game for Southern Nevada, which ultimately is a semifinal for the state of Nevada championship game. And I had a chance to take my wife and then 3 kids down to Vegas for a bit of a 4-day weekend. We caught up on Saturday and did a little bit of a game day edition of Ball Talk ahead of just a good old-fashioned survive and advance victory over the Nevada Wolfpack. And I did hate seeing those ugly uniforms just as much as I anticipated I would when it popped on the television. But yeah, Dad won 31-0. The Crusaders are on their way to hopefully a state championship, which I might be traveling up to Northern Nevada myself here if he indeed does make that.
Absolutely, Coach. If you're watching, let's go get him. Let's bring that state championship home to the Sanford family. Get your comments in, ask Coach whatever you want, scheme. We love to get into schematics and talk ball in that regard. If you guys have any questions, detail what you're seeing with Boise State, and you have a question that you would want to ask somebody who's called plays for a Fiesta Bowl championship Boise State team, well, that's what Ball Talk's here to do as well. I'm going to start with I knew I was going to love this, Sanford. I knew I was going to love this CFP 12, and I'm eating it up. I mean, I love March Madness. Don't get me wrong. That's tough to beat. but looking at scenarios, playing the what if game, looking at teams' remaining schedules, not only who they play, where they play, but is that opponent ranked? How can that change or affect their resume in a good or bad way? Penciling in who you think deserves a home game here. Like, I'm loving every single branch off this tree. And the fact of the matter is, too, I cover a team in Boise State that's right in the mix again. It's crazy with this new tournament and everybody's talking college football in Boise State. There they are. It's been a while, but they're back in the national discussion too. So you got to be digging this as well as a former coach, fan, alum. Like, this tournament thing, and again, we're like a month away from this thing, more than a month, but this thing's going to be absolutely sensational, Coach. Even though Boise State is in, that's a great cherry, but I'd be loving this thing regardless. It's badass, man.
Yeah, I've been standing high on top of my blue and orange soapbox on the weekly Denver airwaves talking about Boise State as a possible first round bye, and people think I'm absolutely crazy, but it actually coincides fairly well with University of Colorado if indeed they win out. And now they control their own destiny for a college football playoff, which is wild. They just got to win 3 regular season games. I'm going to be at the game on Saturday against the Utah Utes here at Folsom Field. It'll be chaos and mayhem. It's a 10 a.m. kick, which is wild. I haven't done that for a while out on the West Coast. So I'm looking forward to that. But, I just see that there's going to be more chaos. BYU, who I feel like I'm Maddox Madsen, and I have some strange ties to BYU. It came out that his girlfriend's a soccer player for the Cougs. And if you're throwing shade at Maddox Madsen for having a girlfriend that plays soccer at BYU, shame on you. You guys, especially you males that are watching, you remember a time and a place where you didn't care. In fact, my girlfriend, when I was at Boise State, I broke up with her. Or we broke.
What sport did she play?
We broke up. She was a 6'4". So we had some height between the little, freshman year relationship. She was a center on the basketball team. Ended up transferring to BYU when we a little shortly after a little breakup happened, and it's all good, man. Life happens. So don't throw shade at my man Mad Dog for having probably a good looking, awesome, and athletic gal that's a big time player for a really good soccer program. I got my brother-in-law coaching at BYU, and back to the original point of the chaos that will ensue inevitably with this college football playoff. It's the drama. It's every single week. It's just going to continue to unfold in front of us. Is it this weekend? You never know. Is it going to be a BYU? I believe it's Kansas, BYU. Kansas kind of got a little bit of a hot.
BJ's talking. BJ's really hopeful there that KU's going to do. Yeah. They're playing good ball, and they're really well coached team.
Yeah, and they've been a possession away from being really in the picture, which is wild. And so you got to think that that's going to be another weird game in the Big 12 Conference, the ACC with the Miami upset, which I've been calling week after week after week after week, and I'm finally good. I just didn't think Georgia Tech would do it, but that's the nature of the beast right now. And it's also this narrative. And I saw today Danny Cannell had one of those front-facing tweets that I've been told to do in my own life. And so if you think they're awkward, I apologize, but I'm just trying to hustle, man, make it work here in this crazy media industry. He went on to say that it's so obvious, and I agree wholeheartedly with this take. I've said it now for a week since the original CFP rankings came out, but it's going to be two conferences that have 8 teams in this CFP. I just fully believe it. And it's just, if a team gets knocked off, next one up. It was already in the work. It was already there for the taking when Ole Miss was ranked right there, even though they lost to Kentucky and looked like absolute cheeks earlier this year. They were just next team up to slide right back into that top, whatever it is. And that's what's going to happen. Is the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have 8. But I do believe that if Boise State continues to control their destiny, I think that a first round bye is a really, really likely type of scenario, and I've been standing on that soapbox.
My scenarios, there's no way Boise State gets a home game. That means they're seeded 5 through 8. Just impossible. I don't see many paths to being even the 10 or 11 seed. Again, that's SEC teams right now are occupying those slots. Boise State doesn't want to get into a resume tussle with a Tennessee or a Georgia or even like an A&M if they come up into this thing. A&M didn't even get in, and they're technically in first place in the SEC as the standings currently still sit. They're not in. SMU, I don't know how you can't slice it or dice it and say that they don't have a better resume than Miami. They do.
And they're not even, and they moved down a spot, Johnny.
So I mean, there are those, yes, like there's those things, and it hopefully will all even itself out, and I think it will. But the number one thing that I'm paying attention to with Boise State is obviously the Big 12. I think Boise State can get into a tussle with a one-loss Big 12 champion and maybe be ranked higher based on what Boise State does. Say they get another chance to play UNLV. That'll up their resume a little bit more than pounding your Colorado State Rams in a conference championship game.
Rams.
You just call their games. I don't get it, but that no one will be watching if it's Colorado State. Really, UNLV might pack a bigger punch there. But the question I have for you is, because and I'm loving this Dion thing, this storyline. Like, you just got to tip your cap. Prime got it done year 2, no question. He's got them in a position to go to the playoffs. Like, that's a big deal. But if Dion does in Colorado win the Big 12 championship, they will have 2 losses, 11-2 Colorado or 12-1 Boise State. Who gets the 4 seed in that scenario?
It's Boise State for sure, because if you look at Washington State's path forward, Boise State now possesses a top 25 victory over team by 21 points. You also look at CU's loss compared to Boise, one of their 2 losses compared to Boise State's 1 loss. That loss was against Nebraska, who has absolutely fallen apart to the tune of firing an offensive coordinator, bringing in an outsider in Dana Holgerson, who's an air raid guy that doesn't even run the same system.
That was kind of weird. I saw that too.
It was wild. So you just can't make a case for it. And I even think that the financial decisions that are going to be behind some of these CFP final rankings, do you think that the CFP would rather have CU have a first round bye or play every single possible opportunity to drive up those Coach Prime led ratings, which it just shows up week after week after week? It's Coach Prime's on TV. That's love him, hate him, indifferent about him. You're watching. Are you watching, Johnny? If you're not working, are you watching?
I'm watching. I would do whatever I have to not work to watch that game. But you still get that. Because I have to disagree. I think 11-2 Colorado, they'll pick apart the schedule. They'll say who's playing better now. And I think they're going to want to lean towards, if it's any type of tie, it's always going to go to the Big 12 or the ACC over the G5. I think it's going to have to be a no doubt situation. I don't know if Colorado is. And they're going to look, if they put Prime into the next round, they give them a bye. Essentially, it's Ohio State, say, versus Boise State in Columbus. The winner plays Prime in the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, that's massive as well, even bigger because it's the following week, Coach. I think they could do. They're gonna score ratings big on this thing, I think, regardless. But I don't know. I think Dion's gonna carry a big stick in that.
I think he's going to carry that stick. I think he's going to carry that stick, unfortunately, for CU to play an extra game to win it all. Because of TV ratings, Johnny, it's a real thing, man. Money drives this. There is so many I've learned in college football, having been in it, there's so much backdooring that goes on. There's so many conversations. There's motivation behind every single decision that's made in college football. And the biggest decision, it always revolves around the almighty dollar. And CU playing on national TV 1 extra week for a college football playoff. And if they win, you had a bonus game of CU. Now you get 2. And so I just think that's going to be the case. I do think that if Miami wins out and say, I don't know, Cam Ward is absolutely on fire these final weeks of the season, plus wins big in the ACC title game, that's a bigger threat, obviously, to Boise State. Would you agree with that in terms of the first round bye?
Definitely. I mean, in that scenario, Boise State would get the the 4 seed, but you still have to factor in the ACC too. So I guess there is a path if somehow, some way the ACC champion has 2 losses, okay? Then all of a sudden, who are you taking? 12-1 Boise State or an 11-2 ACC champion? They might be able to win that one. There's a lot of paths. Again, this is why I'm nerding out so much with this stinking tournament. And these next 3 weeks, the stretch run, man, like you said, there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens. And it might even be, comments won't like this, but what if there's a TCU or Nevada situation for Boise State where there is a massive scare coming? Like, it happens to teams. You've been on teams that the hardest game, the toughest win you had all year was the game you were 27-point favorites in. College football's weird. Those guys are getting paid too. They're working their ass off to try to beat you. You've probably been on teams that had nothing to play for except, and it's a big except, those guys don't get their hopes and dreams when we beat them. And that is such a big-time motivating factor in football. You get that speech in Little League, if that's the situation at hand. So that's kind of where I am on that. Where do you feel? Where do you lie there?
Well, as a coach and certainly as an alum and a former coach and player, obviously at Boise State, the biggest trap game that remains is always the next one, right? When you're in the middle of this type of when the stakes are as high as they are right now, and I've been there. I was there in 2014. I was there at Stanford in 2011, 12, and 13 to go play in a Rose Bowl, 2 of which we ended up getting to, one we won. But it's always just the next game. And no matter what, when you're in a conference slate and you're playing against the damn 6-3 football team that just beat Oregon State, like pretty much controlled the football game, Johnny. The next one is going to be in a strange environment. And I'll tell you the narrative here with at least CSU fans that are watching the conference race themselves. CSU clearly controls their own destiny. And if they win out, starting with the border war on Friday night, which is not going to be an easy game, I will tell you, as bad as Wyoming has been. If you think Wyoming is going to be a cakewalk game for the Boise State Broncos, they found themselves a quarterback in Caden Anderson. The dude played lights out this past weekend, and they got themselves a win. This game against San Jose State, being in that stadium, it's another strange environment. Think Hawaii, even maybe weirder. I remember back to the 2004 run that we went on towards being an undefeated team and trying to edge our way in as a program in my final year on the Blue to be the BCS buster from the non-power conferences, the non-automatic qualifiers is what it used to be called. And my dad and the Utah Utes out of the old Mountain West Conference edged us out as an undefeated team. He was the offensive coordinator. One of the trickier games we had that season was at San Jose State. That was a weird game. It felt weird. Granted, the kickoff time was super early, and there were people legitimately, students wearing, not many students, but just a couple students smattered around whatever Spartan Stadium's called now. I think it's like some credit union. It is. Yeah. It was just a strange environment. And now they knocked down half of the stadium, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of a weird little, it's like a hill.
They're trying, man. They're trying. But yeah, there is no atmosphere there. I get you. I've called a game there, a Vandal game there once. I was doing Vandal radio. No atmosphere. And it's a great view, though, if you are going to the game, guys.
Yeah, plenty of great seats available there at Northern California Credit Union Stadium or whatever they call it. But this is a tricky game because you have a team that is dynamic offensively. I prepared quite a bit for San Jose State because I was involved in some podcasting with CSU ahead of their game against San Jose State. And I thought that I think it's played out this way but for Colorado State, that was the turning point game in their season. I actually thought that might have been a job-saving game for Jay Norvell at the time. And now all of a sudden CSU's potentially going to be undefeated in Mountain West Conference play. And it looks like if you were to just go off the odds, they'll probably end up being that. And I knew that this San Jose State team is capable of scoring a lot of points. At the time, they were juggling 2 quarterbacks. Emmett Brown, the transfer from Washington State, he was one of the 2 backups to Cam Ward at Wazoo next to John Mateer, and also, this Emmett Brown character. Emmett Brown is essentially, he was splitting time, and now it's just the Walker Eggett show, or Eggett. And I know a little bit about Walker Eggett too, because Walker was the starting quarterback at West Ranch High School. in Santa Clarita, California, the year before the quarterback I signed my last year at CU, Ryan Staub, who's now the backup at CU. And he's a good, big, athletic quarterback that can make the throws. They were using Emmett Brown more as the runner, and then Eggett would come in off the bench on third down situations. Well, he's solidified his spot as the starting quarterback. And, this San Jose State team started hot, had a little bit of a kind of a glitch in the middle of the season, and they're starting to play good football again. So, yeah, this is not one of those just straight gimme games. If Boise State builds a big lead early on, yeah, I think that Boise State will run away with this thing big. But if they don't, if it gets into a scoring contest or, you start slowly or you're sleepwalking early on in this ball game, yeah, this could be a scary game. And San Jose State's one of those programs that you just worry about. I don't know what it is. You worry about them on the schedule. They have great athletes. They have a natural recruiting pool in their backyard, and you can play a San Jose State team in their home field environment and lay an egg relative to what you've done the rest of the year. So yeah, this is a game it's got trap game written all over it.
And this is a great position to be in as a fan, as a player, as a coach, as anybody involved with the football program, where you get to the point in a season where every game, and it doesn't matter what the opponent has or doesn't have, it's the biggest game because everything is at stake. Boise State fans should know this. This all goes away if they lose one time. It all goes away. They're probably not getting, they would need a lot of help to get the G5 bid with 2 losses. A lot of help, okay? And if this doesn't happen, it's all gone. And maybe I'm leading the charge from 3 to 6 every day on KTIK, but dang it, it feels like it's going to happen. It feels like it's going to be a massive shock if Boise State isn't sitting there on Selection Sunday with its hand behind its head saying, okay, we're either going to Columbus, Eugene, or, hey, man, we're getting a bye week and we're going to sit on our ass and wait to go see somebody in the Fiesta Bowl or whatever bowl it's going to be. But it goes away so quick. This thing is so fragile right now for
yes, it
15 teams, and Boise State one of them. And hopefully they don't overlook anything. But you know this too, like the other teams, like Nick Nash is over there, and I got a couple of questions on the receiving game and how they defend them. We'll do that
just a cool 86 receptions on the season. No big deal.
Yeah,
with 3 to play. Gosh.
An amazing statistical season. So I want to get your take on that. But first, just, as fragile as this season is, you've been in these spots where, I'm sorry, but a loss, guys, and we're not going to the Rose Bowl. I know, a 1 loss, and we're in Tucson on a Thursday, and we're 22-point favorites. Guys, this game is as important as next week against the ranked team. You have to win this game. What's that like? I mean, is there challenges there as a coach to really get them to focus and understand that, to know this position and maybe still play free? These are kids. They get scared sometimes. They don't want to lose.
Yeah, the latter of what you just presented in terms of 2 different concerns you have as a coach. The first one is complacency, just kind of being ho-hum about their business. Watching Boise State play this year and knowing the way that this team is put together, a lot of serious, high character, high care factor individuals where I worry way less about them being either not mentally and like in the right headspace and the focus isn't there. I'd worry way more about just starting to play tight. And you don't necessarily come out playing tight. It's you worry a little bit about you get in a game against a team that you're supposed to wallop. I mean, frankly, we'll talk about the Nevada game that way. You're big time favorites in that game. And all of a sudden you get punched in the mouth a little bit early. How do you respond? Now, one thing I will say is I think Boise State has responded well to this point. If you got to win football games, you got to find a way to get to the finish line. And you mentioned it, the fragility, right? The fragile nature of this particular time of the season. You almost have to look at it. And this just dawned on me is that you've started your playoff run. You really, because it's survive in advance. It is win every single game, and it sets up the next game, which is that much more important. And that's where Boise State finds itself. And it's a great place to be in. And I would say that to the fan base is enjoy being in this spot. What's the alternative, right? You're mired in mediocrity. or you're on the outside looking in because you lost one significant game. Think about the game we were talking about that had massive college football playoff ramifications. It was a game against Washington State. Washington State's had a great season, but they're completely on the outside looking in now. They're sitting there like, knock on the door.
A million things to happen.
No question. It's completely out of your control. And so you're in the position where you do control your destiny. It's a great thing to be able to say, but at the same time, you just got to take it a week at a time and realize that every single challenge is unique. And you're going to get everybody's best shot. You're going to get everybody's best defensive game plan. I saw a question here earlier about Nevada's game plan. I thought it was fantastic. I thought they did a really good job. The best job that I've seen of keeping the edges accountable, mixing in pressure, but also keeping enough lid on the defense and taking away the really easy completions. Maddox Madsen had to earn any passing production that he had. And if the sky's falling right now on Maddox Madsen in Broncos country, or not Broncos country, in Bronco Nation,
it kind of is.
I think you're crazy. I do. You got to dance to the one that brought you. That's how I feel about it. It's not even close. Shouldn't even be discussion. And right now, Maddox Madsen he's proven, much like I've said multiple times, guy like Bo Nix, is he everything that you want, maybe from a physical perspective as a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League? I don't think so. But he's a guy that has shown the ability to respond both within games and from game to game, and he's done that very well. And that's the thing that I tip my cap to Maddox Madsen for is he's done a really good job of responding to whatever has happened, and he just wins games.
We have, if you're here for Riley and Rid, they're going to follow us right here on Ball Talk, Season 2, Episode 10. But, Coach, let's have some fun with this one. Let's mic drop up.
Yeah, we have the Western Collective studio here live from Northern Colorado. It sounds weird, but the mic drop. This is all about what Boise State finds itself in right now. We talked about it a little bit already, Johnny, but I do think that this nature of how as a fan base, because that's who we're talking to. I'm not talking to the players. They don't watch me on this, that's for sure. Certainly not talking to the coaching staff. They wouldn't listen to me blow hot air on here for an hour every week. I'm talking to you as a fan base, and I think you do have to approach each and every game, just like the NCAA tournament in basketball, just like you were in, when you put the Boise State Broncos in your little bracket, create your own bracket, because you got to win essentially 4 games in a row to give yourself a chance to do what so many people across college football, I do believe, want to happen. And that's the inaugural 12-team college football playoff, to have a representative from a non-power conference, and that representative be Boise State. It just makes too much sense. It's too good. It's exactly what everybody wants. I want to see the damn blue turf. I don't think I'm going to see it in the college football playoff, but it'd be amazing. I do think that you're going to see a Boise State first round bye if they continue to take care of business. So it's just about this. You look at it from the perspective of what can I do as a fan to bring about the best vibes, the best environments for the remainder of this season. If you have the means to travel to San Jose, do your part. Do your part. Get into that stadium. Be blue and orange cloud. Make it a great environment. Make it a home atmosphere for Boise State. Whatever it takes, because that's what the rest of the season is going to be. Hanging on for dear life, thinking that last week's game against Nevada is going to trickle over into this week's game. Each game is a unique challenge. It's got its own set of issues. I've done it as a coach. And as a fan, all you can do is just survive in advance and look at this thing as a single elimination tournament. It's exactly where Boise State finds itself in. And I think that Boise State's going to do what it always does, in particularly in years where you have special teams with special players and legitimate leaders like this team does have. They're going to get the thing done. You just got to continue to think about it 1 week at a time. Forget about the past, press on towards what lies ahead. And that's the San Jose freaking Spartans in that stadium, whatever credit union it's called. You got to beat the Spartans, and you got to take it 1 week at a time. And that's all I got for you. Mic drop.
See you in 25 seconds.
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.
Coach, offensive line play. I want to get to that. I've noticed, and I think this is to be expected, probably 100% to be expected. But when you're missing, 3 original starters on the offensive line, it feels to me like the first 4 games, the line play was a lot better than the last 4. And I know you got linebackers now. I'm seeing it. They're filling gaps. They're obviously playing Jenty differently now than they were the first month of the season, where they might have been scared of other things that maybe they aren't as scared of now, or they just know what they have to do to be able to contain Jenty. I know you've never been a line coach, but I know you can coach offensive line, and I just know offensive coordinators' relationships with offensive line coaches and how well OCs do know offensive line play. What do you see, if anything? I mean, I get it's to be expected. You're down 3 guys on that, but have you seen, and what have you seen as far as being able to run the football with Ashton Jeanty and starting the discussion with kind of his current offensive line?
Well, I tip my cap to the Boise State offensive line, and they're doing a phenomenal job with the amount of injuries that have piled up over the season. And not just injuries to starters, but I'm talking about leaders and guys that have been in the trenches, have been in these tough battles. And you can't say enough positive, in my opinion, about what the Boise State offensive line has done. And so as an alum, I want to salute that offensive line and, coaching brain trust of, both the offensive line coach. I'm trying to blank on their names right now.
Tim Keene,
but also my guy Potter as well, Nate Potter, who's coaching tight ends and very involved in the run game. Those guys have done a really good job. But now here's the issue. The issue is when you do start getting a rubric, a criteria, a map, a blueprint for how to defend Ashton Jeanty, plus he's got the stiff arm deficiency because of the elbow issue. And I thought that was a massive development in the season when it did happen. And I saw it on TV and I was like, dude, that ain't good, man. Like, I didn't think he was going to be out for the year because he's the toughest dude on planet Earth, but taking care of the football, right? Early fumble against Nevada. You're carrying the ball with that bionic elbow. It's tough, man. And you carry it with the bionic elbow because you want to free up your good arm for the stiffy. You want to use that stiff arm, which is a violent weapon, if not the most violent weapon in college football right now.
Yeah.
But the issue more is that there's 2 different types of fits that you can play as a linebacker. And this is more of a defensive scheme and a kind of an ideology of how you play. And I in the Big Ten, man, the run fits were week to week. It was like, that's what you spent all your game planning on. Even as a quarterback guy, I got to know run fits really well. On one side was Wisconsin, and they use this type of run fit that's called, really, it's plug fits. Is that they see low hats on the offensive line and you're playing that second level and you're accountable, say, for the A gap because the defensive lineman on your side is a 3 technique, which means the D lineman is occupying the B gap, which is between the guard and tackle. So when you see a low hat against like a team like Wisconsin that plays plug fits, PLUG fits, they're blitzing through that gap immediately. Yep. And so what's the challenge of that? Well, you're not getting as much movement in your initial double teams at the line of scrimmage. It forces, say, the uncovered offensive lineman to come off of his combination block immediately. And so now you're stringing together essentially 5, if not 6, depending on if you have 2 tight ends or a fullback in the game, maybe 7 one-on-one blocks. And that becomes challenging because you're not creating that reestablished offensive line of scrimmage that you typically get. And I think that earlier on in the season, I think there were certain teams that you saw that played a little bit more of what I would call lag fits. That means where the linebackers are essentially like waiting for it to declare. And the positive for a lag fit is that a lot of times those linebackers can kind of stack the combination so they can be 3 to 5 yards behind, say, the center and guard that are double teaming the nose tackle up to the middle linebacker. They can kind of sit there and lag and stack it, and then backdoor at the last second and make a tackle for a 2-3 yard gain. And that's what I think everybody was trying to do against Ashton Jeanty. And the key to what I've seen is that you're seeing way more plug fits to get the double teams off, and you're accounting for both edges. You're whether you're using a boundary safety as kind of a loose edge player to run he sees it and he goes and runs that hoop right now and gets downhill, or to the field, it's the nickel. And maybe instead of the nickel being as involved, in the bubble game or as involved in the pass in the vertical passing game and rerouting a receiver, that nickel is now more, he's responsible for setting that edge and making everything filter back inside. And if you're setting that edge outside wide, where's that ball getting funneled back to, Johnny? Inside, right? And if you don't have double teams and you're not creating movement, where is there to run? And so
what if you just run a sweep regardless? That's the biggest gripe with Dirk's running game that I see on social media is, damn it, he just never runs outside. And I've heard explanations that I think make sense.
We talked about it on Saturday, Johnny. We talked about it on Saturday. And a lot of those, like the design quote unquote sweeps that I talked about on Saturday morning, right here on special edition of Ball Talk on Game Day, was the outside zone play. A lot of times the outside zone play, if you can't set the edge, you on your fourth step from your where you're running out of the pistol, you have to cut it back inside. Why would you run into a headache? Why would you let it string out for a -3 to -7 yard loss? It's just asinine. Now, I do think that there is something to be said for getting into certain formations. And that's one thing as a game planner that I would do a lot is I would probe through different formations and find something on film that maybe I could find a soft edge to then dial up a speed sweep to one of my guys. And now you could say that if you have a perimeter player that is playing, a true slot, you can telegraph that a little much. I like to get into some condensed bunch type formations. And then even the most inside element who's 2.5 yards away from the little pitch point, you get a late snap on it. Or you use some of that faux motion that you see Debo Samuel run. And, Mike McDaniels does it a ton with Tyreek Hill, where you come into the backfield and then you go back behind the quarterback and then you come back. There's a lot of different ways that you can find soft edges and use somebody else maybe as your edge player. And then that does potentially soften up the edges if you find some success. Even 2 snaps, it does sometimes soften the edges. Now, I think the problem with Boise State, and I've dealt with this before, when you have a unicorn playing for your football team, it could be a quarterback, could be a running back, could be a receiver. You end up game planning for looks that you don't end up seeing on game day because people have they're kind of like Ashton Jeanty plan. This is our Ashton Jeanty front. And then so your formations that you game plan to find edge answers for, a lot of times those are no good anymore. And so you're like, why the hell would I call a sweep that's going to lose 7? I might as well just play in between the tackles and try to throw the football down the field to find some of those vacated areas.
I don't think they believe you, man. I don't think they're going to buy it. I know they want whatever the Tecmo Super Bowl toss sweep. Also, I mean, running in the A gap is different than running in the C gap. You're not running up the middle if you're running off tackle, correct? Even though it might look that way on TV or something, do you consider that an up the middle run?
No, I mean if you have a C gap entry play, that's called outside zone. I mean, that's what it is. It's not called inside zone. And the other one, what else is a C gap entry play? Is what a lot of people in the high school level call the buck sweep, the old 1960s and 1970s play, which is really, it's a pin and pull scheme where you're down block around. Well, if you have an edge to that defense, that pull scheme, it's going to get boxed in with outside in leverage by the edge players, and it forces the ball back inside. The only way that you can truly guarantee an outside run is by way of a speed sweep with fly sweep.
Yep.
You can't guarantee, like, there is not a run scheme that exists where you can say, I know I am getting the ball in Ashton Jeanty's hands and I don't give a flying bleep what the defensive alignment is. I'm going outside. You know what that run play is called? It's called TFL. It's called tackle for loss. Like, that's just the reality. So they had
one of those last week too, where they just tried it and Jenty was lost for 6 or 7 yards. So that's what you're telling Bronco Nation here. So basically, defense is what you've seen. They are not going. If there's anything they're going to not get beat on, it's something to the outside with Ashton Jeanty. That is the number one objective you're seeing. So anything Genty's going to get, he's going to get how he's getting it, which is, 500 yards rushing more than number 2, something like that in the country, which is probably going to get him, Heisman. And I know you're saying, well, you could do so much better if you work the outside too, work it in and work it out. You spent the last 3-4 minutes. Is that what you're telling everybody? Like, look, it just isn't there.
Well, why is it not there? I'm going to go why. Exhibit A for why the edges are not there to be able to run the ball outside with any form of consistency. I would say there's a power ranking of teams that did the worst job of setting the edges against Ashton Jeanty. And those 4 teams, number one, the worst I maybe have ever seen, was Washington State. It was abysmal. I mean, they did not have an edge on the majority of their formational alignments to different sets Boise State was running. Number 2 was Georgia Southern. Terrible. I mean, absolutely abysmal. That was defensive malpractice. I mean, frankly, that game was defensive malpractice really on across the board. But Boise State made the adjustment and has played really good defensive football since then. Number 3 to me would be Utah State. I thought they did a really poor job. Now, some of it isn't always on the scheme. Some of it's on the dude that's doing it, because it's hard to set an edge, man. It takes a tough ass dude to consistently take on whatever blocker on the perimeter and force that ball violently to cut back inside. Because you can be passive. And if you're passive, like I think Utah State, I saw a couple times with their nickel or boundary safety, if you're passive with it, you get reached. And guess where the ball ends up going? Outside, right? And that's just bad discipline, or it's just a lack of physical mentality from the players that are responsible for setting the edge. And then number 4, I actually thought Oregon did a really bad job setting the edge. Generally speaking, I thought that was a game where there were plenty of opportunities to get outside, and Ashton Jeanty did just that. And I think that there might have been some underestimating from Oregon's structure. I think they knew that they wanted to stop the inside run and account for their inside gaps. And as a result of that, they learned a valuable lesson that Ashton Jeanty is the best running back by far in college football.
Yeah, and if you don't make setting the edge, I mean, more than just a priority, you have to make setting the edge a way of life against Boise State, or Jenty, you're the next victim of the highlight show on Twitter or X that night, right? Of the next just spectacular run. And so you're saying defenses have stepped up their game a little bit.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah,
like you said,
as they should. Yeah,
they're paid a crap ton of money. How many yards did Ashton go for last week?
What was it? A buck? Where was it? 30 plus carries? I don't have my game book on.
It was close to 2 bills, wasn't it?
Was it over 2 guys? No. Was it 186?
I thought it was 186, but I can check here.
Somebody type it. What did Ashton go for last week, guys? I'm sorry I don't have that.
Jump in the comments section.
209. You're right. It wasn't over 200.
I mean,
over
guys, we're complaining about Ashton Jeanty's 209 yards rushing. I mean, come on. Like,
who? Yeah.
How many 200-yard plus? I mean, how many rushing performances by one running back over 200 yards in college football existed this past weekend? Like, I don't know. Name 5. You're not going to. It doesn't happen. Like that's a rare performance. So I appreciate you, Skyship. You're not complaining. Johnny, what you guys have been, kind of talking about throughout the course of the week. What, just from breaking down the game, seeing what you saw, what's kind of the pulse, generally speaking, about what went wrong in the passing game for Boise State against Nevada?
Mad Dog felt like again was playing with 9 lives. I don't know if this is the lack of receiver separation. Danielson and Cutter both said, look, it's easy to pin it on the quarterback, but it's not all on the quarterback. I think it was Spencer. Maybe it was Dirk. I thought it was Spencer who said there were a couple plays where the receiver ran the wrong route. And Maddox is sitting there with the ball in his hand thinking like, what the hell am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to throw the ball somewhere where I know I'm probably not going to complete it. Like, how do I got to get it out because I'm never going to take a sack. So there are just a couple of inconsistencies there. But I think all in all, man, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The quarterback play's been inconsistent with this team. And I fully believe the best quarterback on the roster is playing, but this is a running team, and they do a hell of a job with the running game. It would be nice, and I could ask you how maybe you would get the passing game going a little bit more. Matt Lauder was great in the first half, disappeared in the second half. Coach, what happened? Have you ever coached a game where one receiver caught a pass? One? I mean, Cam Camper was the only receiver that caught a pass in that game. Sanford, like, I mean, it wasn't a pretty passing game, but again, according to people that I've talked to, it's not just on the quarterback, but it was
I would agree with that.
The pick sailed on him, and that happens. Balls sail.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks ago, he played terrific. He was the Mount West player of the week.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, and he was following up a tremendous performance against UNLV with another great performance, and this wasn't even a conversation. Yeah, I will say this, that overall, like, for whatever reason, and I've had this exact thing happen to us at Stanford. I coached the wide receivers and quarterbacks in 2013, and we were such a running football team that we did have games where a receiver had a catch. I mean, like, it was wild. And we had a great group of tight ends at the time. You had Zach Ertz, Levine Toilolo, guys that are, that have played a long time, still
There's
playing
others
in the NFL.
too. You're right. You guys put a ton of tight ends into the league when you were at Stanford.
Yeah, and you know what was interesting? It was interesting because at the receiver position, we almost felt like a bit of a group without any form of identity other than just block our asses off. And that was great. Like, I mean, every single week, it's like, dude, that's how you earn your playing time. That's how we get to a Rose Bowl. It's going to come. The better you block, the better the play action shots are going to be down the field. It's a challenge. It's a group of players, even at Stanford, with the finest of individuals that you can find. Brilliant, selfless, hardworking, driven, coachable. There were times where I had to do some counseling as a receiver coach. Would
you take the head gig at Stanford?
Oh, it's a
in
hard
today's
job right
era,
now,
it's totally different, man.
Yeah, let me finish this point.
Would you take that gig in the ACC?
Let me finish this point before we get full squirrel. And I love squirrels; they're my favorite. But the thing that I felt there was, I just, like, as a receiver coach, there were times in an offensive staff meeting, I wasn't the play caller, where I was advocating for my guys. I'm like, hey, can we just get them involved in early on in a football contest? Because you're going to need them on 3rd down and 7. You're going to need them on 3rd down and 11. And it really is not that different than being a quarterback. If you're not asked to do something early in a football game, and all of a sudden you're asked to do something and you're not in any form of rhythm. You're pressing when that one pass attempt comes your way. Like, I gotta catch this ball, or I'm never gonna see it again.
Yes.
It's been 84 years since I caught a pass. I need this one. It's a real problem, man. And it's a lot of times you think it's like being a running team. That's how you win championships. But don't think it doesn't come with some other headaches that you do create. And as committed as I am to running the rock, man, and I am, trust me, I love running the freaking football.
You do. Yeah.
There are times though, man, where you're like, dude, this guy over here he hasn't been used in 3 games. Like, we got to use him, and I couldn't even tell you right now, like who are the 4 receivers for Boise State right now? It's just over the course of the year, it just doesn't feel like there's that identity that sometimes does come with the Boise State team, where you have, like, the ball's getting distributed, 6-7 guys catch it. But on the flip side of that, if you come out and it's air raid offense and Ashton Jeanty's getting 18 carries for 112 yards, then that's coaching malpractice. So I understand both sides of the coin. Yeah, it's a bit where you find yourself in the conundrum.
The 4 leading receivers on this team, not counting tight ends, you have Camper with 34 catches, Caples with 19, Strawn with 15,
wow,
and Prince Henry with 13, Austin Bolt with 10. Yeah, they're a lot of those guys. They go weeks without eating, and I hope they're all cool with it. I don't know why they wouldn't be. They're winning. They're back in the national conversation. But yeah, at some point, especially when you get into the tournament, if you do, there's going to be a lot more 3rd and 8s than you've seen this year. And you're right. And you're going to need a receiver and a quarterback to have some comfort level to pick something up, and maybe outside of the relationship with Madsen and Camper, which does look very healthy, seems to work every game. Of course, if there's one receiver that's going to catch a couple balls, it's going to be Cam Camper. That didn't surprise me, but maybe getting them involved more early. But again, everything is off of Jenty. Everything you do is off Jenty. If you're doing anything to take anything away from the Jenty thing, you're probably overthinking this thing. And that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I mean, you're 30 plus carries. I mean, it's like Jay Ajayi in 2014 all over again, man. Yeah, just feeding that guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's a little different. Like the tempo offense has gone a bit by the wayside, and understandably so. You have the coach to quarterback helmet communication in play this season, and a lot more teams are protecting their signals after everything that happened with Michigan. And so you're just not getting the volume of offensive plays. So maybe a 32 carry performance from Jay Ajayi, it felt a little bit more balanced because you were running in the 80s, even maybe 90s of total plays with the tempo offense that we were running back then mixed in. There is an element of tempo that I do believe you need to have. And I think Boise State's utilized that this year. But I think like some of the tempo concepts, there are a lot of like almost like 2-minute type day one installation concepts that are good to get a quarterback in rhythm, get some early touches distributed against, and I think that could be some form of remedy. The other complaint I have, and it's crazy to have complaints when your team's as good as Boise State is, but more just from a personnel standpoint, there is a bit of a lack of like that dynamic, get the ball in the hands of a receiver, like by way of the speed sweep, by way of the quick screen. I knew that this was a very long receiving core, especially with the Prince Straughns of the world and Austin Bolts, those types of guys. I know Latrell Caples is kind of that guy and can be using that guy. But he's coming off significant injuries, Johnny. Like that's just it. I would say you lose your ability to be like a really dynamic, like violent cutter. Boom, boom, and you're gone. And I think that player would help alleviate maybe some of the stress that's involved in the run game and maybe the lack of getting it on the perimeter. Like, who is the guy you got to get the ball in their hands, by way of the reverse, by way of the speed sweep? And I don't know if there is that just clear-cut guy. And here we are 9 games into the season. I think that's an area that could have, you never know until you know, right? Because, especially with the player coming back from injury, and Latrell's been awesome. He's been phenomenal. But is he really that guy that you got to create the touches for to balance a bit of the run game carries?
It's been Cam Bates. Anytime they've ran any type of fly sweep, it's like they put Cam Bates in to do it. And he's had some success on that this year, Coach. But I was thinking about that too. Like, outside of Jenty, who's the best player at everything, I get it. They don't have, at least they haven't had another offensive piece that's going to scare you. Matt Lauder, I guess, he's been the second most productive offensive player on this team.
But you look at Cam Bates, man. Cam Bates has 7 catches for 68 yards. Probably a couple of those are the forward pass, little fly sweep action. And then he's got four design rushes for 43 yards. So it's not like it's any form of volume. I mean, that's essentially 1.15 touches per game. That's not much.
I was expecting it, honestly, to be Trell, to be Caples. Like,
that would have been my guess.
I mean, because, you know this. I mean, who do you want returning punts on your team? One, the guy that you never have to worry that he's going to drop it. He's smart. He knows the position of the field. He gets when to not catch it or whatnot. But the second one, I would think, man, God, I need someone who's going to make people miss. Like my best athlete, my most breathtaking athlete, one of those guys. I want to return punts, and hopefully Trell still has that coming, or catching a slant and taking it 70, making one guy miss, and you're just housing it. Like, maybe that role is coming, and maybe people can comment who they think would be that, if there is that, but they haven't had that yet, and hopefully, that's on the horizon. It would be nice for Ashton a game or two where this offense could look really, really good and not need him to touch the ball 30 times for sure.
Yeah. The interesting thing about it is, especially I got my seasons confused between the Denver Broncos and the Boise State Broncos, but sandwiched in between the two Nevada schools, UNLV and Nevada, was who?
Sandwiched between the two Nevada schools?
Just so the week before Nevada.
UNLV and Nevada, was that what am I you're
it was Mad Dog's big game. Mad Dog threw for a crap ton of yards, if I'm not mistaken.
San Diego State Friday night. My bad.
San Diego State. There you go.
It's like Groundhog Day, man.
Yeah, so I would say this. I think that this is going to be one of those get right games because of San Jose State's defense. And you could point to the fact that they held Oregon State to 13 points. Oregon State's bad, man. They are bad. They are, it is going, they lost to Cal 44-7. Cal's not exactly even all that competitive this year in the ACC. I think that this is going to be a game where Boise State and Maddox Madsen does, especially what Mad Dog does, which is respond when there are critics that are starting to get a little bit louder. And there's going to be looks that are set for him to throw the football. I think this is going to be a game where the receiving core comes back to life, kind of like they did against San Diego State. I'm sorry, I forgot that one. Little CTE brain for being a holder, not taking many hits to the head. But yeah, man, I just think it's one of those. It's one of those games where you're going to put up big numbers, man. And I think Ashton's going to probably put up good numbers. The offense is going to look fairly balanced. I think that you are starting to get into the territory of Ashton's health is at a premium down this stretch of these final games of the season. You're going to need a fully healthy Ashton Jeanty against Wyoming, even though they look like they suck. Man, the weather could be crappy. The wind could be blowing 150 miles an hour. And if you don't have Ashton Jeanty in that ball game, you don't feel great about it. And I still think, man, the college football playoff is the most important thing, and it always has been, and it always will be.
Yep.
So I look to this game being one of those kind of San Diego State game type of offensive performance for the Boise State Broncos.
Yeah, let's finish tonight. Again, if you're here for Riley and Rid, or you're going to hang out for Riley and Rid, pretty cool double feature BJ has for BNN tonight. We're starting the party on Ball Talk, and Riley and Rid are going to finish things up here in a few minutes. But you're in Denver. I'm in Boise. We both have Heisman Trophy candidates, Heisman Trophy probable finalists that we're talking about on local radio every day. You in Denver, me here in Boise. I still think right now, I think Jenty is going to win the Heisman. I don't think there's going to be the magic moment from the other contender candidate that's going to overshadow Jenty's stats and Jenty's main highlight runs. Like, I'm still leaning towards it. Again, I'm super close to it. Don't get me wrong. I walk by the dude's Mustang each and every day at the practice facility, but I wanted to talk Heisman real quick because I'm still convinced, Coach. I'm still convinced this kid's going to win it because he's just the best player in America. I was thinking about this. If this was last year, if there was Michael Penix Jr. this year, everything he did last year was this year. The Dogs undefeated, Penix slinging it around the yard to 3 future NFL day 1 or 2 draft picks. Like, would Jenty be in the lead over a Michael Penix?
Hell no.
He
hell
wouldn't.
No.
He
hell
wouldn't.
No.
I agree.
And the reason is because you have the best. The Heisman Trophy typically goes to a quarterback.
Yeah.
And it typically goes to a quarterback that's either putting up ungodly numbers vis-a-vis Jaden Daniels, even though his team was 9-3, I believe, in the regular season.
It was.
Or it goes to a quarterback that's putting up very, very good numbers and has their team on the precipice of a national championship, which is what Michael Penix Jr. had. This is it's a good year for Ashton Jeanty to be in this conversation. And you bring up a valid point. And I think that's the reason that he is today the odds-on front runner in my book. I think that he has warranted that opportunity. I'm going to see Travis Hunter play in person this year for the first time this year. I watched him last year in a game against Nebraska where he went absolutely off. And then I saw a game against Stanford last year where he had a really tough day at the office covering Stanford's big receiver, the Michael Adebayor or whatever his name is.
That's tough.
Ian Manure. It was a bad day. So I just think that Ashton Jeanty's continued health, I think the performance that he did have this weekend, it was a strong performance for the Heisman Trophy, going for over 2 bills, showing that you're a workhorse, showing the response to adversity, finding pay dirt like he did. It was an amazing performance. I mean, we were complaining about the run game, and one of our chat room people came in and said that the next best rushing performance in college football was 198 yards. Like, Ashton Jeanty's phenomenal, man. Like, he
still had the best night of anybody, and it wasn't even a night that we'll remember much about. You're right.
Yeah, and I think that the interesting one will be like CU, for example. I still have this weird sneaking suspicion that Shedeur Sanders might play himself in to that spot if they continue to just put up huge numbers. But I think the challenge for even Colorado this weekend is they're playing against a really good defense in Utah. Like, I know that's not the same Utah team or even close to the same Utah team from 2 years ago that I coached against in 2022 when they were fully healthy. Man, they were a dang juggernaut.
Yeah.
But their defense still holds people to smaller amounts of points. So I would say that this, from simply from a Heisman Trophy candidacy perspective, this is a golden opportunity for Ashton Jeanty and Boise State, because they do have one of the lesser defenses in the Mountain West Conference, and frankly in America, because the Mountain West Conference is what it is. It's not respected as a full conference, in college football. And I would argue what conference is really that dominant this year? I don't know. I hadn't seen it.
Oh, and in the Heisman conversation where I said, yeah, if this is Jenty against Penix last year, he doesn't win. But there hasn't been that Penix this year. I mean, I give Shedeur Sanders just as good a chance as getting in this race and maybe sitting in New York as I would Cam Ward recovering with Miami. That loss was big for Miami, and they've been flirting with losses all year. That dude, I mean, there's, to me, okay, and I've been studying the Heisman as long as you have too. We grew up with this award. I've interviewed Heisman winners. You've met and hung out with Heisman winners. Have you coached a Heisman winner?
I have not.
You haven't.
The closest that I've been was Andrew Luck, who I believe got second in Heisman voting. He was there with Kellen Moore. They were on the same. Cam Newton wins it that year, and rightfully so. He was pretty dominant. They got the Heisman right that year, and then the recruitment of Christian McCaffrey, who was, to this day, I think he should have won the dang award. But that's
totally.
I don't know.
Totally. Let's bring the fellas on. We're checking in. Oh, they got DJ, Schramm, Riley Smith, Kent Riddle, Riley and Rid. I don't know if you're going to hang out a little bit with them, Sandman, but there's so much to talk about with this team and this CFP in this season. Going to be a fun episode. Appreciate everybody for watching Ball Talk. And now they get the second part of the double feature, huh, Coach?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this show got a whole hell of a lot better looking with this crew coming on right now. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, of the crew.
So you guys have two headsets, so I'm not going to stay on here too long, but Rid, great seeing your face, man. I've missed you this year, brother.
Yeah, well, we keep waiting for you to show up out here.
Are you sure, man? You sure you're ready for that shit show, man? I don't know if you're ready for it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the conference championship game.
Ooh, I like the way you're talking, especially if it ends up being CSU. It'd be a lot of fun, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, tell Schrammy, I know he's not on the headset, so he probably can't hear me, but tell him I'll let
you tell him.
Yeah. Hey, Schrammy.
What's up?
How are you, brother? Hey,
I'm doing great.
Funny story, man. First off, say hello to your pops for me, okay?
Will do.
Both of us sons of degenerate and derelictical football coaches, but so back in Utah, so this would have been 2005, I believe. My dad's coaching at UNLV. Your dad was on the staff at Utah, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so how old were you at that time?
2005. That was probably the second year, so I was 6.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm a graduate assistant for my dad. On the sideline signaler is the GA for the offense. My dad's calling the ball plays. I screw up a signal. Okay.
Oh.
My dad absolutely lights into me. to this day, I believe it was actually the quarterback's fault on the field. I think it was a wristband that I had given the flip signal. He didn't flip it. And now we have, we're FIB, we're formation into boundary, and we shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So it ends up that I kind of puff my chest to the head ball coach, my dad. And I'm like, no, I'm like, Jared Jackson didn't flip the freaking, play. And he slams his headset and follows me 30 yards as I'm walking away all the way down and just is just laying into my ass. All right. Okay. So the best part about all this is I run into your dad at the convention that year, the coaches convention. Mm-hmm. Right. And he goes, "Hey man, you doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? I'm fine. Of course, I'm trying to find a real coaching job, not work for my dad anymore." And he comes up, he's like, "Dude, the highlight of my season last year was when we're playing in Vegas at UNLV, and I saw your dad just laying into you, just undressing you. And he goes, we were all on the opposite sideline and on the headphones, like talking about it. Look at Sanford just ripping his son's ass. So it was just a good time, man. So, hey, just wanted to tell you, man, awesome work, dude. You were awesome a year ago. Both you and Riley, all of you guys holding the fort down together. As an alum, as somebody who's following the team, it was just a joy to watch you guys just be a bunch of dogs, dude. That's what you guys were. Went through the ups and the downs of it all, but you just kept being you, man, and led this football team. And so, dude, as a former player, did way less than you, like not even in the same stratosphere. Just really proud of guys like you that carry on the toughness and mentality of the program. So, dude, big props to you, man.
Really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from a BSU legend like yourself. So
yeah, shut up, dude. That's all I did was hold, man. Riddler said I'm the second best holder he's ever coached in his special teams career, which I don't know about that, but
Connor was a legend.
Oh yeah, let's go, man. Yeah, you got to go with the son, I guess. Although that's the difference between Rid and my dad. I don't think my dad would probably say whatever holder that he had instead of his son.
Here is like just the guest.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'll let you guys get to doing your show, man. Have a great show, Riley. You're absolutely killing it. Hey, all the negativity that's around. I just said it for the last hour. You're in a damn playoff race right now, right? And where else would you want to be? It's a great place to be. The sky is falling after a close game. We all know that's a bunch of BS. You just keep on playing ball, man. So you guys have a lot of fun doing your show, and looking forward to tuning in and watching the rest of this.
Yes, we're trying to get you in here in time to be a guest. Whenever you show up, we'll get you in here early out. Or early in the week or out late in the week, whatever. But when you show up for the game for the conference championship, we'll get you on here.
Be big time.
Yeah, let's make it a deal, man. I think we should make it a deal. What is the conference championship on a Friday this year?
It is Friday evening.
I got to check the Colorado high school state championship schedule. That's the challenge because I think I'm on the TV call for the 5A state game, but we'll find out when we get there.
All right, we'll check it out.
Man.
I think that's usually done though, like Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I think I think there's 3 more weeks.
It'll be close.
Yeah, it'll be close. But
3 weeks. 3 weeks would be done.
All right. Well, hey, we'll make a deal, man. I think Amory's watching right now. She loves you, Rid. You're still her favorite coach of all time, including me. We'll make a deal right here. If I'm not doing a game here in Colorado, dude, I'm there with you guys and drinking cold beers and talking ball.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Have a great show.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're passing it off to the Riley and Rid show.
Yeah. Absolutely. We got the boys here. We got some linebacker pride sitting up in here. We got former Boise State linebackers, DJ Schramm and Joe Provenzano. So, guys, appreciate you joining us. Had to get some defensive guys on here. It's been a little biased with the offense.
There's no question. Yeah, we've cheated.
Yeah, we just talk shit about the defensive guys. That's pretty much the basis of the show.
our turn to give it back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dude. Winston was on here fighting for you boys. Though.
Yeah,
Winston was holding it down.
Practice never should end until the offense wins.
You guys get 9 on 7. We get everything else.
7. You better. Hey, just want to thank Jackson's again for sponsoring the show. No, DJ was a proud representative of Jackson's a year ago. I don't know if we've had more free or reduced price days with the Ahmed sack or the DJ sack.
Definitely the Ahmed sack. I don't know if I produced many 52-cent soft drinks for the Boise community last year, unfortunately. But
I feel like
Ahmed's making up for this year.
Yeah, they might have picked somebody with a higher number on purpose.
Get some more buy-in from the community.
Yeah, but no, thank you to Jackson's. They've obviously been awesome, huge sponsors. So I know DJ knows all those guys over there, and just want to thank them.
Great people. Thank you.
No doubt.
We're excited to get in here and kind of talk about where everything's at. And
it's nice to be inside. For sure.
Yeah. As it cools down, outside is a little tougher. If we had a big crowd, I guess we'd turn the heaters on out there, is the rumor.
Yeah, they kept it hot for the game 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so if we can get more people to come down next Tuesday, we can go out into the tent and we'll turn the heaters on.
When Sanford's here, make him sit outside in that Giants hat.
Well, it's been a couple weeks. I know last week we took it off because it was the election night. People had a lot of other things on their mind, so took it off. But, in the meantime, Broncos obviously won a couple games. Blew out San Diego State, I guess, before we would have done that. And tough one against Nevada. But you guys have, been on championship teams here and experienced part of that. I think everybody else, kind of the big deal they want to talk about always is, what's everybody thinking? And, really all three of you guys can talk about that, and then I can talk about it from a coaching standpoint later. But, hey, at the end of the day, you want to win, right? So, kind of what's the different mindsets? And Riley, you might even go first on this, but coming off a tough one where you actually win it.
Right. And it's about kind of keeping perspective. Like, our goal every week is to be 1-0, and we accomplish that goal. So you can't really dive too deep into it and get inside your head, because obviously after a close game where it shouldn't have been, we're going to go in and fix our mistakes, but we completed the goal. And I feel like every year, especially with a really good team, there's always a trap game where it could be a bad team that comes out and surprises you. But if you make it through that game, it's a big win. So the fact that we came out on top through a somewhat trap game like that is really important. We still completed our goal, and I know Coach D is refocusing them and not letting them listen to the exterior noise, because that's the biggest thing that would hold them back right now, is hearing the outside noise that, maybe they're a fraud and not as good as we really think we are. But you put that all to the side and you go out and you're like, we completed our goal. Now we're back to it and have another opportunity this week. That's all you got to focus on. So I know the boys are all ready to go and not leaning on that too much. They're ready to just keep the train rolling for sure.
Yeah, and there's expectations everywhere. There's expectations inside and outside that building. But just to echo what Riley said, at the end of the day, all that locker room cares about is getting the job done and putting a W on the board at the end of the game this past Saturday. And ultimately, they accomplished that goal. It might not have been pretty, but there was a lot to learn from on that tape. Coach D said in his post-game interview, and that staff and those players, they're going to respond the right way, just like they have all season. So I got nothing but faith in those guys.
Yeah, and having adversity too.
Showing a gritty win. Sure, you can pull out the win when it is gritty.
Yeah,
this team seems like they've been handling the things they should handle. They're not lacking in anywhere. They're not letting it slip. They're putting their foot on the gas and not letting teams in it, or they're putting their foot on the gas and going balls to the wall like this last weekend just to pull that gritty win out.
The sign of a great team is winning when you're not your best. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And like the teams that get easy rides and just win every game and blow them out, they go and face adversity in a playoff game and don't know how to respond to that. Right. That's difficult. So it's good that we were able to experience that during the regular season, still get the win and be able to use that in the future when we're having to play a tough team and might be down or tied at half or whatever it is. But
yeah, and I think, one of the things that Boise State's always been great about, and you guys all play for Harris, but he hurt it all the time, but I think it even goes back to Coach Pete, Coach Hogg, and probably Coach Cutter. Hey, let's really hone in on this when we win.
Yeah.
That's when you guys usually get the biggest kick in the butt was
after
the win.
We won, but
the criticism was way worse, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the opportunity, not that it happens, but sometimes after a loss, you need a pat on the back and remind you, like, hey, we did some good stuff too.
Yeah.
Because, everybody sees that, but, I always felt like the toughest criticisms always came after a win, and you're pointing out, like, how that could result in a loss if we don't get better at this and do that better. Mm-hmm. And, I think I would assume that's exactly what happened this week. Like, there were a lot of tough conversations about, we didn't do this good enough. We didn't do that good enough. But hey, let's remember we did win.
Right.
But here's why we're talking about this stuff, because it's important. And whether it be on, offense, defense, special teams, who knows? Joe, I know you were a big special teams guy.
Yeah.
And obviously there were, a couple things that ended up not hurting Boise State really at all last week, but a big factor, right?
Yeah, I mean, the special teams look solid. I mean, they've been, 2 kick returns.
Yeah, since the Oregon game.
Since the Oregon game,
they've been really good.
They've made the changes that they need to change since then to, make some strides, because that does matter. It's a huge spark plug.
Oh yeah,
going into that stadium when it's loud, keeping it hyped up, not letting a lull come just because it's a change of possession.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the percentage, Rid? You know it. When a team scores on special teams, what is the percentage of a win for them go to?
75 to 80%. Yeah,
big time.
But but on defense, you know what it is, right? If you score on defense,
100.
There we go.
True story. Well, it's not a true story.
Yeah,
it's close. It's close.
DJ had a touchdown on special
Yes, he
teams
did.
back in the day when the man bear pig was at his peak.
Yeah,
with the flow and dude, that was legit.
Yeah, back in the COVID season, it was sad. I mean, I'll never be sad about scoring a touchdown, but would have loved to celebrate with the Bronco faithful down there in the south end zone. That would have been awesome.
No, instead of the poster cardboard cutouts.
The cardboard cutout.
Let's all just try and forget that whole thing.
Yeah, that was brutal. But also, like we talked about too, and we talk about it all the time, the fans know it too. It's every team that comes in, it's their championship game. And a 3-7 or 3-5, whatever they were, Nevada played a lot better than they did the 8 games before that.
Let's just remind this too, though. SMU's ranked relatively high in the poll too, right?
On the ropes.
Nevada had them down in the ropes.
Yeah.
And somehow they came back and
they're a scrappy team.
Nobody's going.
They are
we should think less of SMU because they barely beat. And really it was a tighter game. So I know Coach Choate well. I mean, he was.
Yeah, those boys
damn
juice.
Well going to have those guys ready to come in here and play.
And the history behind it, too. I know that fired them up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Out of Boise State, that's big time.
So I think that's one of those games those guys are critiquing the hell out of. They're going to do everything they can to rectify any issues they had, improve as individuals, as units, as a group, as a team, and do their best to fix that. Is it all going to go perfect every time? No, it's not. And, unfortunately, they just had a couple breaks here or there, or that thing could have gotten turned wide open, and it didn't. And I give as much credit to Nevada as much blame to Boise State.
For sure.
But they'll fix that and they'll move on, and this week will look better.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
We got a good question in here for Kellen from Mayor. It says, Joe, tell us about the legendary 7-game tackle you had against New Mexico.
That was a crazy game. I actually wasn't even going to travel that game. Then some injuries happened. It was like Wednesday. Avalos was like, hey, come pay attention, stand back there, get some mental reps in. We might need you. I ended up getting in a situation, and I just had fun and played ball. That was the one time Harson will admit to it. I'm one of the only people he's ever said is a gamer. He doesn't need to practice. Just goes and plays.
True story. I think he said that to the whole team.
He said that in the game. He's like, all you guys need to practice. Joe Pro's the only gamer I know.
They just put you in a yellow jersey the rest of the practice.
Exactly.
Like, hey, put Joe in.
Let me get some mental reps, and I'm good to go.
Hey, that's a good thing, though, and DJ can even speak to this. But, Joe, you were not a starter or not a star. You were a starter on special teams, and really almost every special team.
Yeah.
And I know Joe was a little bit what he's talking about was a guy that didn't need a whole bunch of reps. It was like, Joe, go do what you're in at this. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. But, everybody on the team has a role, right?
100%.
And for a couple years, your role was, really to kind of be the voice on the scout team and help those guys and all that stuff. And you turn that role into an on the field role on special teams. And then, like saying, critical defensive snaps where it actually mattered. But just kind of talk about your mindset, and then DJ, maybe, what you learned from him being a younger guy watching.
Yeah, I mean, next man up is always what we preach, and I took that pretty seriously. I knew I wasn't always the biggest, fastest, strongest, but I was always going to be mentally ready to be able to help the guys and make sure we're all ready to go. Anyway, I could help the team win on and off the field. I was going to do that 100%. And being an older guy, me and DJ weren't like when he was a freshman. When I was a senior, this was my guy. I loved helping the younger guys, and any questions they had or just any tips or tricks I can give them to help make their life easier to where I struggled or just something I learned along the way.
Yeah, my path was very similar to Joe Pro's. I had to grind on special teams too, and I shouldn't say I had to. I got to, because that was so much fun, and I was very fortunate to have guys like Joe Pro, his brother Nick Pro, Benton Wickersham, Bruno DeRose, Riley Wimpy, Ezekiel Noah, guys like that were older than me that showed me what you're supposed to do, and anything you can do to help the team. And that was just my mentality. Anytime I was out there on special teams or scout team when I was a young guy, and just anything I could do to help the team win. And I think that ultimately is what paved the way for us to have success later in our career, because like Coach Rid was saying, we would do whatever was asked of us. Yeah. It didn't matter. So if you asked me to play nose guard, I was going to say, hell yeah, let's line it up. So,
and I can't sit here and take all the credit for that. I had great guys above me, Joe Marr, T. Gray, Ben, Tanner, Blake Reno, all those guys set the standard for the linebacker group. And that, I feel like that is one of the things I wanted to carry on that linebacker mentality, that OBP, doing whatever it takes to help the team, because all those guys were like that.
Oh, yeah.
Someone I want to shout out right now, it's on the current rosters, Marco Notriani's.
Yes, sir.
Playing almost every snap on defense, and he's running down on kickoff. He's converting fake punts for first downs. Oh, yeah. He's recovering fumbles. He's doing it all, man. I'm so proud of that kid.
Marco's killing it. It's really fun to watch. One of the things between Marco and Matt Lauder, high school teammates, that probably a lot of people don't even put together.
Yep.
Pride of Torrey Pines.
They're exactly alike too. Just on different sides of the ball. It's awesome.
But those guys are doing a heck of a job. They show up every game. It's really fun to watch those guys get out there, and then to know that they were high school teammates, came up here together, all that stuff. Something
about Joe that we were touching on, just like the impact you and your brother made off the field was significant compared to what a lot of people were doing on the field. Like you and Nick's energy you brought to every practice, locker room.
I appreciate it.
In the showers.
No question.
It was you guys made football so fun for everybody. And now being on scout team, I know I had the most fun time, and being able to see you guys go to practice every day and have to deal with a lot of the bullshit that nobody wanted to do. And you guys made it fun and brought the energy and the competition. Those couple years of football were the most fun I had. It was awesome. So I appreciate you guys doing that.
Yeah. And it didn't even just stick to the linebackers. I would me and Riley had a locker next to each other.
Oh yeah.
And that's how Riley actually switched majors. It's it literally is. He's
now we're working together.
Yeah, now we're working together. It's funny, thinking back. So I work with Quevedo. We sit right across from each other, and he's lost 300 pounds, so he's a tiny little thing now. But we always talk about how I used to mess with the O-line during scout team. They wouldn't see me coming, and I'd just give him a little head check. Just be I'm right here. Dude, just at the end of the play, let him know. I would have made it.
Dude, I learned so much from Joe Pro. That he was my locker neighbor my freshman year. And he got me to convert majors to construction management. And I think the best thing I still remember is being a freshman, and Joe Pro gave me a caffeine pill for one game at halftime, and I'm signaling at the time, so I don't need caffeine by any means. And he gave it to me, and I've never been so locked in to do signals. They probably didn't even see what I was doing. I was going so fast.
It's that secret sauce right there.
It was the secret sauce, dude. That was so fun though, because I learned so much from all you boys. That's one thing I like about Boise is they'll pair up freshmen with older guys, and you can learn and see what they're doing, and you form relationships that me and Joe only played 1 year together, and we still talk all the time.
You guys would laugh, but like going through the locker room and planning where everybody's at.
Yeah.
That was like a 2-day process.
Yeah.
For the coaches, like, let's get this guy by, and at some point, you run out of lockers and whatever. But yeah, that was.
That's when you ended up in the back corner.
They're like, Riley, you need more personality.
By Dale with the laundry.
Yeah, I'm in my tail in the back. Just get a chair and a towel.
I think I almost ended up there a couple times.
I highly doubt that. So what you guys kind of touched on it, but what are you up to now?
So right now I'm working at ESI doing some project management stuff, doing some stuff here in the Valley and just in some different states, but doing that, just dog dadding it up.
Yeah, buddy. What type of dog?
You got a chocolate lab and a red lab.
Nice.
I had Nemo since I was in college, so he's been my road dog.
That's awesome.
Love it. I'm doing forensic. I work for a forensic engineering firm here in town. We do accident reconstruction. So we reconstruct car accidents. I'm liking it a lot so far. It's something new every day, and I really enjoyed it.
And you got a motorcycle now too.
I do have a motorcycle.
Finally.
It's a little cool. I know. Finally.
I know.
It's a little cold now, but it's so much fun. If any of my former teammates are out there listening, please get one so we can go on rides together.
I'll hold on behind you and just ride.
I still need to get a seat on the back, but or maybe I'll just get a sidecar.
What's the best ride so far?
I did the one up to Lucky Peak. I'd say that's probably the best one so far. I'm still pretty new, so I don't want to be out there too long. So I'm not going out to Idaho City quite yet, but I'd love to do that eventually.
Next summer.
Yeah, next summer.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. So what do you, just a little bit of, we kind of touched on the last couple of weeks or whatever, but, Joe, you might be able to answer this even better than these guys because you're a little bit older, but talk about the challenges of playing San Jose.
San Jose is a good team. They're another, scrappy team coming down this stretch right now. We don't have an easy team. They're all, no matter their record, they're scrappy. They're gonna come and give us their best game. And it's there, that long, big hill there.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, that was one of the worst. That's rivals Fresno State's hill.
Yeah.
They got that long runway you got to run down to go down the field, but it's not an easy game. Everyone's going to give us their best game.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to beat Boise State. That's their national championship. Some of these teams at this point,
and they beat us in the championship during COVID. That was a sickening feeling. Yeah. At UNLV.
Their home field, UNLV.
They were in Vegas for COVID. That's crazy. But that one still stings all of us because that was kind of our first year, like really playing and making an impact on the field. So, San Jose is definitely
they'll play with confidence. And is the interesting thing will be this is a BYOE game.
Yes, it is.
Bring that juice.
Yes.
Bring your own energy, because I would expect there will be more Bronco fans there than San Jose fans. And they'll probably post that, and maybe that'll change it, and that might be good for the Broncos. So. We typically show up pretty good in California. As Bronco fans, so I think that'll be, we'll be well represented. I'm just not sure how many San Jose State fans we're going to see there.
That was the first game I ever traveled to, was San Jose, and it's not a loud stadium, but the boys got to bring the juice on the sideline, have some fun. It still means something no matter what. Absolutely. No matter who we're playing, you gotta come out and show out.
Both teams are playing for a lot because I think they're playing for a bowl game. Which is a big deal in their program. Obviously, we're playing for more than that. But it's hard when you're used to playing in front of Boise State, right? And there's 37,000 fans rocking the place, and you got the lights going and music and all that. You get there, and it's like,
right.
Not a lot of atmosphere out there.
You're yelling from the sideline. You're yelling, check it.
Those games are some of the best though, because the fans actually will start talking trash to you because they're close enough and it's quiet enough to where you can hear them and they're talking.
And they know you hear them too.
Hey, and then they look you up and they just start saying everything they know about you. They find online.
Yeah, they do their research for sure. That was fun too during COVID. Like when we played Hawaii, nobody in the stands, no music, big stadium. You could hear everything that was happening on the field. I remember CT threw the touchdown to Khalil and is talking shit to their head coach, and everybody in the stadium can hear it. And the ref is like, dude, I have to throw this flag. Everyone can hear it. Hey, this is a good question too for Joe specifically. It said from Brandon Bailey. He said, "How many times you guys won the Heisman in NCAA 25?" And I know when you first got it, you were grinding.
Me and Sam were grinding hard.
I remember the first week it came out. You text me, you're like, "What are you doing at 7 a.m. tomorrow?" It's like, I don't know. It's a Saturday morning. He's like, "Well, come over. We're playing video games all day."
we played till like 3-4 in the morning the next day.
Did you win the Heisman?
No Heismans yet. It was impossible at that time. I switched to the Dynasty.
Yeah.
Dynasty 2031.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. No natty yet.
Yeah,
no
Joe
natty
Pro
yet.
built his player just like Ashton Jeanty, but it's his name.
Joe Pro for Heisman.
Exactly.
Another good question. Who's the better high school baseball player, DJ or Joe?
DJ for sure.
Oh, I don't know. We might have to line it up over here at Timberline High School.
DJ for sure.
Can we get an alumni softball tournament? Like,
we should get that started.
That would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
I feel like there are a few people that would be involved in that.
Yeah,
that might be a lot of fun.
That'd be a great time. Yeah, no, DJ for sure. 100%.
What position do you play?
I started out playing shortstop. Then you got too big because I was playing football. And then I was being linebacker. Then I got moved to third base. And
no first base?
No first base. No first base.
That's sweet.
We just got to be careful that DJ doesn't sub his actual twin brother. Not
exactly.
Yeah, that's big.
I think if we stick to softball, we'll be okay because he was a pitcher. But if we start throwing overhand, we all might be in trouble.
Dude, that was the best with your twin too. We would be doing the high fives at the end of the game, and his twin brother looked exactly like him. Would be standing in street clothes, giving high fives, and then went in the locker room like, "Did DJ already change? Like, how the hell did you get out there so fast?"
Dude, it was the best because every year the freshmen or the new guys after the first home game, they come to like, "Dude, I saw someone that looked just like you out there." I'm like, "Oh yeah, my cousin, he's in town." And they're like, "He looks just like you. That's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, it's weird, huh?" It's always funny messing with those guys early on in the year.
When I don't see DJ for a while, and I see your brother first, I'm like, "It happened to me at the tailgate. I saw your brother first before you," and I'm like, "What's up, dude?" And he's just looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, "I'm not that drunk yet."
Hey, that's probably a good topic for both you guys. And Joe, I know at some point, probably in the offseason, we'll get you and Nick back in here. But
yeah.
You know, you got to play with your brother. You have a twin brother that you're really close with. Both played Division I. But just talk about a little bit about family and how cool it is to play with your brother, kind of relationship you have with your brother and the stuff you guys share. We don't talk actual like ball here, so
everything but ball.
Yeah, just how we like it.
Playing with my brother was probably one of the best parts about coming here. So most people probably don't know my brother was really close to going to San Diego State. He was real close, and then had some conversations and got him up here, and it was probably
steered him down the right path.
Yeah, steered him down the right path. It was. He'll even say it was a better decision, better situation. But I mean, ultimately, getting to play with my brother, I didn't get to in high school, so missed out on that opportunity. So getting that opportunity at this stage that not many people get to do is pretty special. And not just for me and him, but for my parents. I think even more for them. They love that.
It's a lot easier to go to one game a weekend than two, right?
I think
your parents split the opposite of that, right? I mean,
well, it was nice because I was in the fall and my brother was in the spring, so it made it easy on them that way. But yeah, my brother, we're super tight. He's definitely my closest friend. I mean, he teaches me so much, even though I am still the biggest brother. 1 minute older, I'll hold that over his head for the rest of our lives. But it's super unique being a twin. I know I get the question all the time, oh, how crazy is it being a twin? Well, for me, it's all I've ever known. So it's not crazy at all for me. But no, I love my brother. I mean, he was a stud at Utah, pitched for 4 years. And the amount of respect, like going to his games and just seeing the way his teammates would respect him and the impact he had around those guys, especially because he was playing way before I was like on the field for Boise State. Like when I was on scout team and I was waiting my turn and he was playing, and just seeing the impact that he had while I was waiting my turn, that was like, that's the impact I want to have when I get my chance. So it was really cool to have that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. And it's, I think something that's been, we talk always about family here at Boise State football, and, to have you talk about meeting Dusty, and obviously you guys be a part of Nick, the family's not just the guys on the team, it's the extended family, and Riley's family, frequent visitors, hotels, sure. Whether we're on the road, at home, whatever, so everybody's getting to know. I've known your dad forever. I've known your parents. It seems like a long time. Yeah. I guess it's only since 14, but we all get to know each other really well, and it's a really cool thing, and especially be a part of that. But when you get to do it with your actual family, it's even better. I know your dad was not coaching your last year or the year before.
The year before.
That's what I thought. But he's
every game.
Yeah, was hiding out in the tunnels on the field. We'd usually see each other pregame, and then he'd go into the field, and I'd kind of go hide in the stand somewhere. And it was cool to be dads at that point, not coaches.
Yeah, that was a special season too, because I don't know if throughout my entire career, my dad's been able to come to every one of my football games, just because he was always
that was
coaching.
Your senior season.
Yeah,
it's not your super senior season.
Because he was always coaching at the same time, so they would have away games and have to travel and whatnot. But yeah, having him every game that year was super special, and it's something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, family's important. I saw Riley's dad I met his dad for the first time, and I felt like I'd known him forever.
Yeah.
I love Riley. And it's my boy. So just meeting his parents was just, it goes beyond football here for sure. And you feel that 100%. You get your guys that you live with, and their parents come in town, and they come and take care of everyone, and you have a good time, and you get to know them more on a personal level. And it's special.
It is. And it's like I came from across the country and came to Boise State really not knowing anyone before I got here. And it was like instantly family. Like that was the coolest thing. And not just the players, but the coaches, like having Thanksgiving dinner at different coaches' houses or stuff like that. And getting a home cooked meal when you're in the dorms was like the best thing in the world. So like stuff like that. Yeah. Boise State's a special place, because I don't know if it's like that everywhere else. And we're definitely blessed to have that opportunity for sure.
Absolutely. We got a bunch of different questions coming in, but Joe, tell us about the 2 tackles against Air Force.
Air Force was another fun game. I think triple option was just my thing. Air Force is fun. Air Force, that game at Air Force, that was probably one of the top places to play. That stadium is impressive.
It is sweet.
The cadets right on this. We talking about fans talking trash to you.
Oh yeah,
ruthless. They had a whiteboard. They found my Instagram. They found my ex-girlfriend. They found everything about me. Everyone on that sideline. They knew everything. I think it's part of the government or something. Yeah. Probably classified information that they got a hold of.
You had a satellite tracking the whole week before the game.
Yeah. They just have a portal. All of our darkest secrets. That was funny too. Every time we played them, we would see a drone go by, and we're like, "Oh shit, they're watching."
And the coolest part about that too is that they they wanted to take a picture with us after the game too.
Yeah.
They were like, take a picture with it. Like
They're sick.
they were super cool about it after the game.
And running down the tunnel and it says danger, like high altitude, may die. I was like, oh shit.
Running all the way across to the other end zone.
If you feel lightheaded,
We
Immediate medical attention.
Remember we went and trained up in Bogus Basin to get some high altitude training.
Remember my first spring here when we went and snowshoed up there?
Oh, I missed that because of class. I had class that morning. I missed that one.
You were there, right, Rid? You were up there?
No. Hey, I got the
You sent us up there on Pitt with the school buses. Just us and Pitt.
I got the breakfast
Farming
burrito
up
though.
Bogus Basin.
Yeah. That's all that matters. Yeah, that was great. I remember just running through the tunnel to the sideline. Just I'm like, where's the oxygen masks? Like,
Let's be honest. Those were bad, the altitude training, the snowshoeing, but there's nothing worse than the Inferno days.
Oh yeah,
miserable.
And they did a good job. Like being from Florida, I was like, this is exactly what it's like. Maybe even worse.
That field might be ruined forever.
Oh yeah,
that field needs to be replaced. So much water under that thing.
Oh yeah. You would fall down and you're like, dude, I don't even want to know what I'm falling in right now. I couldn't imagine being an O-line either. Like, even when we traveled to Troy, I remember the first day when we were doing a walkthrough out there, and it looked like they were wearing swimsuits. Like, it was just soaked in water.
Garrett Larson, belly out, just dripping sweat. You just see it rolling down his belly.
Right down the lightning strike. That's crazy.
Yeah, those are the kind of memories, though, that stay with you, right?
Oh, 100%.
You really appreciate, and as hard as it was, and all that stuff. It's part of who you are now going forward, and I think that's a really cool thing. So,
Joe Pro, I got a question that we always ask the older guys that didn't get this opportunity. But if NIL was around when you were playing, what would be the number one company that you would seek out for?
All right. Well, good thing I watched Weaver and Spurbeck because you told me that was a good one to watch and kind of listen to. I don't even know. Maybe Lucy's instead of Zins. I'm a Lucy guy. Lucy Breakers. Maybe that.
That would be good. Yeah, we said Jackson's.
Stella Blue Coffee. Just Barstool. I'm a Barstool guy. You know that.
Yeah, dude. I remember Barstool. They were like the first people trying to do NIL with all the players, and it was like you put it in your bio, and they'll send you like a free gear package, and they pulled everybody to the side because Barstool was like gambling, and they were like, we're not doing this, and everybody had to sprint into the locker room during PRPs and take it out of their bio, and then I see Banya walk in with Barstool dripped out. I was like, you motherfucker.
Should have kept it.
That's wild. What about you? Is there any that you wish you could have got, or looking back that you had the beard stuff, which is perfect for you?
Yeah, shout out to Beard Smith. Still going to them.
Oh, yeah.
They do a great job out there in Garden City. So check them out.
No doubt. If you want a glorious beard,
especially on the Harley. I mean, that thing's got to be. Well, that was the one that fell through.
If I could get one back, that would have been one I would have liked to have. But I got the bike now, so all is forgiven.
Could you do beardsmith for mustaches like Joe Bros?
It's coming in strong.
Oh yeah, they could do some
strong. Dude.
They could do some good work on that thing for sure.
I might have to hit you up on that.
Yeah. What about you, Rid? NIL? You back in the day in Corvallis?
Oh, back in Corvallis, local boys for sure. Hawaiian restaurant.
Oh yeah,
but I would have been like 100th on their list. Always Bud Light. Sorry, Western Collective Horseshoe Ale.
Yeah.
There you go.
That would be awesome.
One that I saw that Riley had that I don't know if you had it too, but Fat Guys.
Oh yeah.
That had to be a solid.
Riley would bring me along every once in a while. It was very generous.
I see you post those sandwiches. I'm like, oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, they lost a lot of money through us. It was, and now it's right next to Micron, so we go like probably 3 times a week.
There's one right by the new office
Riley
too.
Actually shows up and like points at his autograph on the wall.
You know who I am?
Dude,
I'm good, right?
Yeah. I've already paid my dues.
Yeah, it doesn't hold weight anymore. It is funny because there's so many of the boys on there now, like Louder and Mad Dog. And It's hilarious. And those big, like they had the secret menu with like the Trevor Melt's their best sandwich. And then they had to have one that was double the size, and they wouldn't let us leave till we finished them. And I'm fighting for my life. And I look over and Garrett Kern's already finished before I finish half of it. But dude, that place, yeah, that's fire. And it was cool because I was working on HQ and the Fat Guys was right next to
there.
it. And then I moved out to Micron and there's another one. I'm like, oh, they want me to get back on weight gain.
Yeah. You had the Jackson's deal. I would take the Jackson's deal any day.
Yeah. Best deal I got by far. Shout out to the Jackson's people. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I went to their tailgate the last home game, or not Nevada, but the one before for a little bit. It was cool.
Yeah.
They had it rocking out there.
Yeah, they do a heck of a job. So I'm guessing for the Friday after Thanksgiving, 10 a.m., Jackson's might be a great spot.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the parking lot will be rocking though at 7 a.m. at the latest. I'm sure there'll be people there way before that. But you show up at 7, I'm guessing you're going to have a good time. So let's not let that be one of those where all the tickets are out and we're like half full.
Yeah.
Like if you can't go, find somebody that can. Let's get that place packed.
Yep.
Because that game's going to mean a lot.
Show out for the seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to pack the house.
Senior game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, last time on the blue.
And hopefully we'll be back. We'll be back 6 days later for the championship.
Yeah,
game
there's a
too,
lot of boys
so.
planning on coming to that too. Like Static and
I heard
Connie,
Static.
they're all ready to go. So we should try to get them on if they can.
Oh
get
yeah,
in time.
absolutely.
That would be really fun.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll do
You guys might have to do a show a day.
Yeah, we might.
that week.
maybe we'll do more that week.
Yeah. That would be sweet.
Yeah, we got trying to think what other good questions are in here. I feel like Kellen Kellen from Mayor 11 might know all you guys because he's
the man. He always has great questions.
He has good stuff. But
I always like the best Camp Riddle stories, and especially being on special team demons. Do you guys have any good ones?
Yeah, I got a good one.
Oh God,
I got a good one. And it's funny, and Rid's gonna feel bad about this one, but this one's funny. So my first year there, tore my ACL. I tore it on a kickoff return, and we're sitting in the team meeting, and Rid's replaying the play where I tear my ACL like 10 times, and I'm sitting in the front and just head down, and I couldn't watch it. Chance and Shane were behind me, and they're like, "It's all right, buddy. It's almost over." And at the time, I don't think Rid had any clue what was happening. None. But I looked back, it was hilarious. He was just rewinding, he's like pointing out everything else, and then. Yep, there's me getting my knee blown out.
I do feel bad about that.
No, it was
because I had no idea.
It was hilarious. So thinking back, because I knew you had no idea.
Life of being a freshman.
Exactly. Exactly. That was a good story though.
I hope I redeemed myself.
No, you did. You did. There's a lot of good times,
Yeah, like I said, I mean Joe and DJ early in his career too, but Joe was a guy like literally all the way through your whole time was on special teams, and a guy you could literally say, "Hey, go play, whatever position." He certainly never practiced it, whatever, but you felt comfortable. Like, oh, if Joe's there, at least it might not be perfect, but the most important part of the job is going to get done. And we can live with whatever beyond that. We had other guys that you put them at the one place they practiced. And it was a struggle just to get the main points done, right? Much less everything else. So, but you were that guy throughout your whole career, and that was kind of where you started and then built up from that. And, that's one thing as coaches, and even I think fans start to wonder why this guy, why not that guy, why this guy, why not that. Well, it has everything to do with all week in practice, right? And can I trust this guy to at least get the basics accomplished? Yeah. And if you struggle with that, then it's hard to go well, but he's really good. We saw this or whatever, and it's hard to get past that first part.
Yeah, and the effort aspect too of the special teams, if guys are running down full speed on kickoff or just 10 toes down on kickoff return, you see that effort from a guy and you're like, we need to get him on the field somehow. It's a game changer.
Yeah. Favorite Rid moments are when he used to give me a kill shot that week on kickoff return.
Yes. That was my real welcome to college football, was playing kickoff return when I first switched to tight end, and I was behind B-Hawk on the front line.
Oh, yeah.
And they would put Josh Booker Brown
Front
out
line.
there.
That's where boys become men. Front line to KOR.
Yeah,
That's where everyone thinks real football is played on offense, defense. No. Real football is played on the front line to kickoff.
Front line KOR is dangerous. You turn your back. Boy,
whip around.
Yeah, man's running a 40-yard dash at you.
Yeah. That's why they changed
all the Oregon tight ends on all their special teams just running down full speed and turn your head around. They're right there.
Yeah,
that literally is why the NFL changed the rule to the way they are.
It's
because
tough.
Get tired of watching guys get KO'd on that stuff.
That was my favorite part, though. You know that, right?
No question. Well, and like DJ said, that's where boys become men, right?
Yeah.
You figure that out, and you know you can do it. Then all of a sudden it makes doing the other stuff a lot easier.
For sure.
You're like, well, if I can do that, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And when you put a guy like Josh Booker Brown across from you,
wearing his wife beater under his pads, I'm like, oh shit,
man concussed more people.
Oh, dude! And then I remember like the first week I was doing it, I stayed after practice with Winston when he was coaching, and he was kind of walking me through it, and he was doing like live reps with me in his coaching fit. And after like the third one, I could see it in his eyes, and he was just kicked back into his Boise State days. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Start tapping your helmet. I'm done.
He starts running through me. I'm like, dude, what the?
You want to talk about boys become men? Having to do scout team versus D-Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was all gas, no brakes for that man right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we're having to run down, and towards the end of the season, he would run out of steam, but beginning of the season is you're thumping.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was talking to Breck at some point this week, and he was telling me the Boise Police Department, Fire Department have a turkey bowl. I said they better not let D. Lee play in that.
Pigeon toed and all.
D. Lee versus Shoe. Who you got? I love Shoe, but I gotta stick with LBP here.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, but I also know there's no way Shoe's playing in that. Shoe, he's all about it. Like he might be in the fireman calendar or something.
Yeah.
You're saying it's all for show.
No,
there's no functionality.
No, I'm saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
I didn't say that, Shoe. If you're listening,
I'm saying Shoe has already proved it at the highest level.
Yes.
He does not need to go out there and play the turkey ball.
You're 100% right.
I'm just saying, D. Lee, they better not let him play because he has proved it at the highest level also.
Yeah.
He'll turn right back into that right there.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's a switch, and it's like, oh, they're right back in 2000. It was, speaking of Winston, though, we have a question. He asked it on Twitter, but Jaden threw it up there, and it was a really good question. Let me pull it up. There we go. It says, Winston said, passionate, aggressive, physical players. How are these guys doing from a mental aspect as you have to transition into the real working world after the playing career and not hitting people on a daily basis anymore?
Shows great restraint.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's crazy because like we could just light people up with no consequences.
I had that moment today. I had that moment today at one point. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a walk. I'm not gonna. They're not gonna send this off the wall email. No, but just that brotherhood, especially being in the construction industry.
Yeah.
It's a team aspect from everyone down to the carpenter, up to the project manager, up to the high level exec that's working on that project. Everyone matters, and you got to star in your role, and that's probably one of the biggest things, like you said, Rid. You know, that was one of my key roles is just doing what everyone asked of me and not asking questions, just doing whatever it takes to get done. That's a big part. And, you know, just being able to talk to different people.
Yeah.
There's down to the carpenter, down to the project high level executive down at ESI, you know, you can relate to every person and, you know, make them feel important and connect with them.
Right. Yeah, it's cool too because there's a lot of military guys that, especially in the construction world, that in like all facets, and having that competitiveness and that physicality that they had in the past in their life, and like trying to tune in instead of hitting other people, do it into the work. And like I know I've had a lot of long conversations with Kate Connie, This kid Connie mentally is one of those guys that just wants to murder you every single play. And when you see him approach his work, like you start seeing him talk about his work, it's the same mentality, but it's about selling mechanical equipment.
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of cool to see that he still has that fire and competitiveness, but it's like he tuned it into a different aspect of life. So it is cool. And that's a good question, Winston, because everyone still has that mindset. And it's just like, how can I angle it into what I'm doing now in life, which is it's crazy to do, but football definitely taught us a lot and gave us the ability to make strides in the workforce that a lot of other people don't make.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, I would hope something that everybody learned and was taught, not just here, but in football, you know, probably from high school on up, is there's a time and a place, right? And sometimes it is as simple as, hey, I just need to walk away for a minute.
Yeah.
And you guys know that. I mean, in the heat of the battle in games, like guys might take a cheap shot on you. And maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't. You don't know, but you can't just turn around and blindly swing. You can't take your helmet off and try and knock a guy out. I mean, you can't, you know, I mean, all these things. And sometimes it's hard, but hopefully that's something that is learned through the discipline of all the things we do, whether it's be on time, touch the line, wear the right clothes, you know, all that stuff is something, you know, I think that's preached daily at Boise State, and I think most places.
Yeah. I remember when I was coming to college, my dad used to tell me you can work hard for 5 years or you can work hard for the rest of your life. And well, for me, 6, but
Are you sure?
I was thinking back about that the other day, because when he used to say that, I used to think, oh, I'll just go get a good degree and everything will be easy. But no, what I realized what he was saying is you work hard for 5 years, you build those life lessons, you learn how to work. You learn so that when times do get hard, you can fall back on that. And I think that's something that we can all attest to, is the transition from playing to real life. I'll be honest, it's not easy.
Not at all, yeah.
It's hard at times, but when you're able to fall back on the lessons you learned as a Bronco, and you're able to fall back on the brothers that you have that went through it with you, that's something super special, and something that I hope that I definitely don't take for granted. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like you saying not being late to anything, when my alarm goes off, I still think of Coach Pitt. And I'm like, Coach Pitt's gonna make me do up downs if I'm not there on time.
And I still, to this day, my whole lock screen is set to alarms 5 minutes apart.
Yeah.
I got the same
PTSD.
thing.
PTSD.
It really is.
And like the last one's the loudest, right?
Yeah. You change it so you know if you end up getting to that point.
Got better hurry.
Yeah, the worst is when you accidentally turn all of them off in your sleep.
Any fun flight or bus stories? Just traveling. I know we got some good ones.
You can go first on this one, DJ. You got one?
Just the two that popped in my head was Colorado State in 2019 and Wyoming in 2020. Flying out of the same airport, basically the exact same story. I remember Colorado State. It was the day after Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah.
And we played at like noon, so we were all fired up.
6 feet of snow.
Yeah, we play in snow and we beat the crap out of them.
They only had like 2 sections open in the whole
yeah. I know there was so much snow, and it snowed a little bit during the game, but as soon as we got out of the locker room, back on the buses, it was just dumping. And I remember we get on the bus and we sit outside the stadium for like an hour, just sitting there because there's nowhere for us to go. Our plane wasn't going to be ready or something. So finally we had enough of that. We get to the plane. We sit on the plane for 3 hours because I guess at the Fort Collins Airport, all they have is a garden hose to de-ice 737. So we sat there for about 3 hours and it was below freezing outside, but it was about 100 in that plane.
Oh yeah.
And it was just one of the most miserable travel experience. And we luckily got to do the exact same thing over again the next year after playing Wyoming in -10 degrees.
And a foot of snow.
I remember walking on the plane, and I'm bundled up because it's freezing outside, and I get on, and all the O-linemen are shirtless. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I realized it was like a inferno practice on the
Yeah.
inside of the plane.
Dude,
And I was like, this is crazy.
that's one of my greatest memories too on the plane is Quinn Skillen standing up and says, "Someone turn on the air." Quinn's yelling that in the middle of the plane, in the middle of the flight. Flight attendants are walking around handing us out Smuckers and Snickers. Turn on the air.
T. Jones is in the back flirting with the cheerleaders.
Oh, but one of my favorite was flying to Hawaii. When you had the middle seat open and it was just two guys in one row, and it was me and T. Horton. And we were boys, we were teammates and weren't super close, but after that we were boys. His headphones died. We were literally talking about that. He was here this last weekend and we were talking about that. It was just crazy. It's like, that's my dog. After that, we were sharing AirPods, watching my iPad.
Dude, that was rough because we were younger at the time, and I remember I sat between G5 and I think Kate Connie on the flight to Hawaii. I was like, this sucks. I can't wait to get older.
Yeah. One of the best travel memories, though, one of my favorite, was night before the games, linebacker dip sessions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I wasn't.
Just the boys hanging out, parents are in town, but, it's tradition. We got to go in, get at least 20, 30 minutes with the boys, just linebackers, just kicking in whoever's room and just shooting the shit.
We did that minus the dip after you left.
Tight ends had
Sorry, that was a bad influence.
Tight ends had chicken fingers, right?
Yeah,
which eventually ended up going to the whole team.
Yeah.
I think that started with like Chase Blakely and Jake and all that. And Al. They got
chicken fingers, like
chicken fingers, pizza.
So eventually we just said, all right, well, if they need chicken fingers, we'll add that to the snack.
Yeah, dude, the hotel was some of the most
some
fun
of the good
times.
memories.
Dude, yeah.
We had some, we'll talk about one story after, but dude, that one of them comes to mind. That was hilarious. But no, the hotels were fun, and like the day of the game was cool too, because you had like 4 hours, and everyone would just link up, watch the games, and hang out. I know.
Back those 8:15 kickoffs.
Yeah. 8:15 kickoffs hit different. You wake up, eat that French toast, do a quick walkthrough, and then go back to your room that was pitch black. You had the curtains closed, and you just throw on a college football game.
Yeah. I remember I roomed with Kate Connie once, and I hear a knock on the door, and we open it up, and he ordered a bunch of food before the game. And so from there on out, we would just order pizzas to the room like before the games, and we'd be on the field and our stomachs are just bubbling, and we're like, that was not a good idea.
Hey, got the job done though. That's all that matters.
The 8:15 p.m. versus the 10 a.m. kickoff, or the one was 9 a.m.
The 9 a.m.
Yeah,
was tough.
I think we woke up at 3:45 in the morning or something.
That was brutal.
And everyone's just down in the lobby, just one eye
Eating
open.
chicken and pasta before the game.
Same pregame meal. It's just baked potatoes, chicken, and pasta. I'm like, I don't know.
And I think they had eggs there one time at one of the early games, and some sickos had pasta and eggs on their plate.
Can't help the lineman.
Beock's
Can't
worst
help.
nightmare. Beock was just gagging.
You can't do the eggs.
Boiled steaks.
I do miss the night before games. That meal was phenomenal. That was something I always look
The
forward
Double
to.
R Ranch people, the Agri Beef, they do phenomenal.
So good. And then week 10, I'm like, all right. But dude, that food was awesome. The mac and cheese. We would always be judging it based off where we were
The
traveling
mac
to.
and cheese. Wyoming had some good mac and cheese.
Dude, we told the steak story with CT. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was the week before Harsin got mad at everybody because people were taking more food than they could eat, especially like steaks.
Yeah,
They
just
take 2 steaks.
UNLV, I remember.
Yeah, and not eat. And then when we went to Wyoming, and the steaks, for whatever reason, were not good. And
I remember that. They weren't right there.
And Harsin was walking around making sure everyone was eating their steaks. And before Harsin got over to CT threw it under his foot. And he's just sitting for the rest of dinner just with his steak under his foot. Just trying to act completely normal. But that was brutal. But they did have good pie, though. The pie that they would give us was legit.
I always saved room on away games for the bucket of popcorn we got.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, now it's the ice cream. We get it every week, and the line gets fast, and people are going for thirds, and it's legit.
ice cream's. Didn't we used to have ice cream?
Yeah, I think it was always ice cream, but I'm talking about like when we go to the movies.
You're talking,
Go to the
we
movies.
stopped doing the movies. Yeah,
2019.
Yeah.
No, 2019.
2019. Really.
After that game at BYU, we stopped.
Oh, really?
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
I assumed that just left in COVID.
No.
Yeah. The movies were fun though.
Yeah.
We did watch that one movie. It was like with the sharks and it was John Stamos.
It was
was it the Hobbs versus the Fast and Furious?
No, it
was
exploded.
It was with like dinosaurs and sharks and dude, what was it? It was something crazy though. It was like Megalodon 2 or something like that.
Oh, I remember that.
It was after you. It was our last year.
Last year.
And we were watching it, and it's like just one of his movies where he's like riding this massive shark with like a spear gun shooting dinosaurs, and we're all sitting there. We're like, "What the hell are we watching?"
I just remember the Mount Everest movie or whatever it was.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
I think we thought it was going to be like an action movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Walked out of there like, oh, that was a downer.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was like when you saw watch the Joker movie. Remember that? That was leaving that. I was like, I'm in a weird headspace. Like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, the road trips used to be awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
Some good times on the bus.
Great times.
Great times on the bus.
Oh yeah. The one fun one was from Jacksonville all the way to Florida State, and we're just driving in a hurricane. And everyone, and every time we go visit someone's like hometown, everyone's giving you shit about it. You're like, California's way better. I'm like, you guys are gonna love Florida. And we get down there, it's a hurricane. I'm just on the back of the bus, just getting shit on by everybody.
Dude, that was
Dallas kids will never live down the first responder bowl. They'll never live down the first responder bowl. Yeah.
Last non-game.
Yeah, the best thing that come of that was wing bucket. So that wing place right across from the hotel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think I got that like 3 times.
It's like the only place that was open.
Yeah, on Christmas.
Yeah.
Here is a great question. With uniforms, are uniform underwear and socks issued, or do you wear your individual socks and underwear?
Depends how Dale's feeling.
Are you a freshman or not? Are you getting the Hanes socks?
Yeah. Do you want
or the Nike ones?
You want the crusty white ones, or you want the Nike?
Those white, those crusty white ones. Though that first time you wear them, hit different.
Yeah, one wash though, and they're sandpaper.
Save the unwashed ones for a bad day. You have a bad day, but those game days changed.
I think I still have one. I'm just waiting for it for a rainy day.
I still wear those socks to this day. Holes in them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dale's the man. That is funny how you got to earn it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you go in, and we always say I would ask for like a long sleeve shirt, and he'd give me a shitty pair of socks. And I'm
The fun.
In all seriousness, to answer the actual question.
Oh yeah.
Everything's
everything's issued. Yeah, they do
Once
a
you
good
get
job.
to college and you don't have to wash it, you don't have to do whatever.
And they're running around too, because you go back there, everyone wants every sleeve, every armband, and they're just going back and forth.
Last week, last show, Donnie Heck was talking about how he used his belt to get like personal stuff done, and Dale kind of had enough of that at some point.
Kellen said, "Why do we always hear Dale was so stingy with gear?" And I want to clear his name because we do say a lot of jokes about it. But Dale was the absolute man.
Really.
Yeah, really show us. Let us see it. But he was the guy. Like we still talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
Like came in, he was the guy that was there the longest amount of time, and he was awesome. And he was stingy with freshmen because it was like you can't come in and get all the swag. Like you have to earn it through like showing that you're a Bronco. And so, but when you get to being a senior, he gave me so much stuff. I just have bags and bags of it. And he always said that from day one, and I would ask for more, and he's like, when you're done here, you're gonna have so much gear you don't even know what to do with it. And so by the end, when you're done, it's crazy.
Part of it is really just joking about Dale.
It is.
Yeah.
So give him attention.
He likes the attention. He loves when we bust his balls a little bit. But Dale truly cares about like every single one of us.
He really
there's nothing he wouldn't do for anyone on that team.
He really is Boise State football.
Yep.
He really is. Yeah.
He's been there the longest. He could be the historian of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's a rite of passage to be able to bust Dale's ball.
Exactly. Yep.
And Kellen asked another question. He said, "Does Dale own a pair of pants?"
No,
And I don't.
he
think
doesn't.
Dale got married in shorts and a
vest.
So. Yeah,
Probably with the BYA shirt underneath too.
he did probably have the best COVID business. He made all those sweatshirts, the BYA with him on the front, and was selling them to the guys. And I would wear it out like in downtown Boise. And they're like, "Where do you get that sweatshirt? Like, that's awesome." And nobody knows it's just Dale on the front of it. It's so sweet. But he has gotten soft. We did find out that he was wearing shorts at games, but he got a heated vest.
Oh,
and when we found that out.
Hey, all those guys like Dale, Pitt, Pitt used to put the Vaseline on.
Pitt would have the no sleeves, but he'd have the big gloves on.
Yeah. And then make us go shirtless.
Big snow mittens.
Yeah, and be drinking a chicken noodle soup on the side.
We brought that out just for him, I think.
Yeah. and to pour on our feet. Remember the BYU game?
Coldest I think I've ever been.
Everyone was just dumping chicken broth on their feet.
Last game ever without the heated benches.
I'm surprised they didn't bring it on for my freshman year after that San Diego State game.
Well, we won. So
I was cold. I had two pairs of leggings, jeans, and 2 pairs of sweats on that game. That game was cold, brutal.
We played at Reno probably in, I'm going to guess it was 04 or 05, but huge snowstorm. Had we not gone the day before, I don't know if we'd have made it to the game. I mean, they're out there shoveling the field like the whole day to get it cleared. We show up, they got like restaurant patio heaters on the sideline. Coach Hawk's like, nope, get them out. And so we sat over there with no heaters. They had heaters. And we were up like 35-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And I think from that point on, it was like, hey, and this was Hawk's point at the time. It's all mindset.
Yeah.
And but I remember the BYU one, and like the mindset was tough because it was cold.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the shirtless warm up game, probably.
Yeah, of course. Another great question from Eddie. He said, "What's your welcome to D1 moment? And did you give a welcome to D1 moment to anybody else?"
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I got
one of the blind sides.
Oh yeah, definitely one of the blind sides. Or
Which used to be legal.
Yeah, back in my day, it was legal. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Welcome to D1 moment. Probably Dex. Before like non-football or moment, or doing linebacker drills and getting hit by Tanner, Jomar, Blake, just taking it to the chin, just standing there letting them tackle you. Those guys, and you're just like, oh god, you gotta keep doing it.
Yeah,
that's like, when you know it.
I was like, I tell a story when I first switched over. It was like Rudy. It felt like I was playing tight end, going against like Witt and like Dimitri and all those guys, and we were doing like a circuit where you have like 1-on-1, and then you go to the next station. And I was like going against first with Sam Witt, and I'm like 200 pounds at the time. So I'm like, I'm going to just try to put all my force to them. And that's when I got introduced to the strike and snatch. And it was like every single dude, like Sam would just grab me and just throw me into the ground, just face full of turf. And then Rid's like, go again. And I'm back up and I see Dimitri and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to like stay back a little bit so I don't get snatched. And then he just put me on my ass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is not fun. And then I was like, God, I just got to gain some weight.
They said they had 9-on-7. That drill is the exact same thing. Like they know what's coming.
Yeah.
That's a non-win drill for the tight ends.
I think I got one from a game. So we were playing at UNLV in 2019, and we were up pretty big. So I got the chance to go in on defense, and we called the blitz, and I was blitzing through the A gap, and I had a wide open A gap. I'm like, oh, easy money, first sack. And their center comes off his double team and ear holes the crap out. Next thing I know, feet off the ground, looking at the sky. That was probably my welcome to D1 moment. It was not a fun one to watch on film the next day.
Gotta have one at least.
Yeah, absolutely. As offensive guys, we love those.
Oh yeah.
That's teach day. They were playing it.
Oh yeah, they were fired up. They were happy. They were getting their asses kicked. They were fired up about that play.
What was worse, a center coming off a double team, or a tight end roaming across catching you?
Ooh, I never got caught by many tight
We're just
ends.
like, yeah,
Except me in practice.
Yeah, except Riley.
tight ends and O linemen were pretty soft.
Probably yeah.
The other one, which probably didn't happen to you much, but especially when you guys do the cross pop or able or whatever you call it, but when the running back, you don't see him and he comes from sideways,
Yeah.
and cuts you.
Oh yeah, getting cut on a blitz is the worst.
Yeah, because you never see the guy.
No.
As a running, when I was used to coach the running backs, like we used to live for that one.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Bring this blitz, please.
Did you guys dish any out to any freshmen or?
Had to a time or two. I
Yeah.
can't think of one right now.
They probably remember it. You always remember
Yeah.
the one you get.
You got.
not the one you give.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of one either.
I got a good one. Favorite Pitt memory. You brought up Pitt.
Yeah.
That made me think of Pitt. I
don't know
got
if
one
I
right
can
off the
say
top of my
I
head.
got a couple of those.
Mine was when he fell off his bike.
He did not fall off his bike. He got attacked by a mountain lion.
Yeah,
That was our skit.
allegedly.
We made it into a skit.
Some guy cut him off. Whatever story he wants to tell.
It might have actually been a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And then he
I think it was
strangled it with
both.
his bare
I think it
hand.
was a mountain lion and a grizzly
And he
working
got out of there, he
together.
had one in each hand.
Oh yeah, he grabbed both by the throat, just walked them out of there. There's pets now, actually. He's got them caged up in the backyard.
Even better Pitt moment was when we did the National Guard, and he was the one holding the hostage.
Oh, that
And
was
we
brutal.
all had all the rubber bullet guns, and he was in a room smaller than this area right here, and we all knew it was him. So we unloaded, and he get mad. Do.
So this is
Well, it's on his
I
belly.
think this was before you guys
Yeah.
went. We went out to the mountain home and trained with at their training site, and it replicates a village in the Middle East. And they were like, "You got to find the hostages." And
That's
so
awesome.
word spread very quickly that Pitt was holding the hostages and
where it was at.
and how to get there.
He's sitting in a chair like this with a hostage right in front of him. Do. Like point blank from me to Riley. Just, welt on his belly. We got on the bus, takes his
I
shit
give
off.
him credit because he took every one of them.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't complain until we got on the bus.
And then he got us back the next day.
God, that was funny yesterday.
Yeah, surprise Dex.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was amazing how fast that word spread.
Slam your MRE, the food. Find Pitt. Do. Let him have it.
That's awesome. Dude, there's a lot of good questions coming in. There's weird or funny fan interactions, like while you're playing, or just like outside of football, out and about with the boys, or
Some fan in New Mexico grabbed my butt.
Are we trying to find video of that? So you
yeah,
press
Yeah,
that?
sexually assaulted.
I just wanted to feel.
Yeah. Blake Whitlock turns around and goes, "Hey, you can't do that."
I got a lot at Fresno last year, but at Air Force in 2022, I'm a notorious, like, I drink a lot of water during games, and one of their cadets was behind our bench just calling me a camel all game because I was not putting the water bottle down. Every time I would just sit there and laugh.
They're waiting for it. Can't wait for him.
As soon as I walk, before I can even get to the bench, 52 the camel, grab your water.
That's awesome. Yeah, they actually, all the like high academic schools, they go to work and they come with real stuff. Not you suck.
Boise's not a state. That's New Mexico.
Oklahoma State, they're right on top of you.
Yeah,
almost they could touch
got
you.
the paddles.
Yeah, they could touch you if they wanted to. Me and Blake, Whitlock and Sam Whitney are standing there. We'll have all the linebackers. Hey, Provenzano, get me a meatball. And he was on me the rest of the game. Where's my pizza? Just getting on me, and I could not stop laughing.
They're funny too. Like it's rare where it's like super personal. They just get creative.
When they're creative, it's good.
Yeah. And like we had Utah State, it was one of the 10 a.m. games, and a bunch of them brought potatoes. They're like making fun of us, and then after the game, they asked us to like sign all the potatoes.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you appreciate the originality of,
for sure.
You know, like you listen to "You Suck," you can only hear that so many times. But you know, if a guy does research, like you actually care what he has to say.
Yeah. And as a backup quarterback, you get it the worst. For sure.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're like if you spend more time around the bench, standing there, like being on the special teams, backup quarterback. Oh, they want your ass. They want you. They are on you all game, and they will let you know it.
And Colt Fulton was the best because Colt would talk shit back to him, and he would let them have it. But by the third quarter, he became like best friends with all the guys, and like Colt would go and like Talon was like warming up or something, and Colt was just throwing it back and forth with them, and they're like Colt Fulton. They're like, get him in the game. They're like just cheering him on, trying to just get him in the game. They're yelling at all the coaches to put him in. And dude, Colt made enemies into friends. It was awesome.
Some guys at Colorado State, after we beat them in overtime, were chirping me all game, and they were like, they were mad that we ended up coming back and winning that. I came back and I'm like talking back, and like they were about to jump on the field after the game. I'm like, all right. It was hilarious.
Put my helmet on.
Yeah, let's put my helmet on.
What are you guys gonna do to me?
Well, and the worst part was they called me Joe Pro, and you know most people like in the stands aren't gonna know to call me that. I knew someone who went there, so I thought it was them, and so I turned around. That's how the whole thing started.
I remember one of the times we were playing Colorado State, someone threw a Chick-fil-A sauce and it exploded on Dylan Herbert's helmet. He's gonna feel splatter mark on the side of his helmet.
Awesome. Those are the best stories. And now again, the things you remember, like you might remember your best play or your worst play or whatever, but there's a lot of plays you might not remember, but you remember stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. That makes football fun for sure.
Best signal for a play call. Yeah. I think we probably should just stay away from that one.
Oh yeah, that was the most fun time I had as a quarterback, though, is just making up signals, and it was awesome. And then I would have my boys like send me videos of us doing the signals on the sideline, and then they started noticing that we were on TV more and more, and they're like, "All right, we got to move it back here a little."
Tune those down a little.
Yeah.
There's a lot of signals that happen between your belly button and your thighs.
Yeah.
And I swear they named the plays specifically just so we have to come up with them. And I remember Hank on one of the games, and of course Hank's always doing something to get on social media, and we were blowing a team out, so Hank goes to the sideline and he's being the dummy signaling, and he came up with the most creative signals ever, dude. I remember people were looking at the sideline, and like you would think Hank's the guy just because he was so passionate and like, but he was making shit up, and you're like, how'd you even come up with something like that?
Because knowing Hank, he had been sitting there thinking about like, hey, this would be a great signal if we ever get to something that I could suggest.
Right. He's using all the ones he suggested during the week that no one wanted to use. And I'll show these guys. They look great on film. Look at this.
People believe them.
Rid, what's the longest play call you've ever had?
I'm sure it'd be some kind of kill play.
Yeah.
Which, we ended up trying to fix that and taking it down to
one word
memorization stuff. But God, I mean, I don't know.
Create a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Zing to double right. I mean,
it was like the way play calling is there's like a word for the formation, words for different motions, word for the protection, backfield set. You could do shotgun under center. you could do the pass or the run, and it was like, like especially with kill plays where it's 2 plays in one, it could build out pretty long. And then
it's certainly not right. Two spider, Y banana.
Yeah,
it's not.
No,
it's not that.
It is cool because it's like a whole nother language. And then they thought it would be smart, which it did work out. And they're like, all right, instead of this 20-word play, let's just call it 1 word. And then they would come up with some pretty awesome words. But it was like just 1 word, and you would have to memorize the 20 other words that fit into that one, which made it difficult. But then you do it so long throughout the week, you're like, oh, this is it. It's easy. And it saved a lot of time for the signalers for sure.
Yeah, and it gives you a chance to line up. And, it's interesting because now with the in-helmet communication, you're probably back to the other stuff.
Yeah, right.
Where you're telling pretty much everybody what to do.
Yeah, instead of Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Halle Berry.
Yeah, Halle Berry. I'm trying to think what were some of the other ones. What was Power Counter?
It was
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just random words, and you somehow figured it out.
Yeah.
It was cool. They did a good job of like making it. Was hard like on the first Tuesday when you get in there and you have to go through all of them, and you step out there and you just peak anxiety. Yeah. And if you mess it up, you're out of the play. And you're like, oh.
And Riley and I always talk about like that's why. Like in the tight end meeting, like we'd start with, all right, here's the stuff you got to memorize, so you got the most time. And it'd be up there an hour or 2 hours before. Probably these guys would come in and start writing stuff down. Defensively, you guys did the same thing. Start working on it, memorizing it.
Yeah.
And then we go through the run game, and then we go through the pass game. And about 2 plays into the pass game, the corner blow and meeting should be over. Be like, hey, by the way, on this, you got this, on this, you got this, you got this.
Yeah. Jalen Henderson used to write it all down on his forearm. It's like every check.
Benton used to do that.
And then halfway through practice, it's smeared, and he's like, oh, shit. I don't even.
But that's a reality, I think people don't understand is how much time you spend, not just practicing, but studying to be able to compete in practice. And if you don't, you kind of get left behind.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about, well, if you're just a great player, you're a great player. Well, that works for about 10 seconds. 1 play, whatever. After that, you better have some idea what's going on or you're a liability.
Yeah. 100%. I feel like, linebacker-wise, me and DJ, we were in there Monday because we practiced Sundays. We recap the day. And then at some point on Monday, every linebacker was in the linebacker room writing down the top 4.
Yeah.
Writing down all their tendencies and all that. And you don't memorize it, but you at least get a head start on the day, because if you don't, you're left in the dust.
And how many times that allows you to, by the time you get to game day, you're like, I know exactly what's coming.
Oh, yeah, every time.
And just to pass the checkup from the neck up, that was the most
stressful. The test on the plane.
Oh my gosh. It's stressful.
Or in front of the whole entire team. They would just call you out to stand up, and it would have some crazy question. And as a freshman, it's like sounds like the hardest question ever, but everybody else is super easy. And I remember just be sweating. I'm like, please don't call on me. But then you get it right, and the whole everyone starts clapping, and it's a good feeling for sure.
The clock. All the ticking on the clock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would. That's awesome.
All designed for a purpose.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Because it's hard to replicate the stress and the immediacy of how things happen on the field. So trying to create that in the meeting room or practice or whatever, and trying to create that pressure so by the time you get to game day, it's
effortless and it's fun. Cop sessions, at that point, it's just fun. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, having fun. Because I had to tell the freshmen, when we would have our walkthroughs on a Thursday, was it at the end when we were doing our easy day?
Yeah,
and it was on Thursdays, and Potter was just through the roof, screaming at everybody. You would make one wrong step, and he's on your ass about it, and everybody's like, what's his problem? Why is he freaking out on us? I'm like, it's to prepare us. He doesn't want your mental to drop and get casual on a Thursday when you're not wearing pads. And so when you understand that and you understand your heat of the moment, you're like, oh, this guy's not trying to be a jerk. He's actually trying to like prepare me for the game. Because I would say that was the hardest practice of the week, not physically, but like stress wise, you're
perfect.
Yeah, had to be perfect. Yeah.
Started as perfect practice Thursday, and then became the no sweat Thursday. But same thing, like it was always like can't have screw ups.
Yeah,
that was because if you were dialed on that, then you could, refine whatever on Friday, and then feel free to play on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What else we got? Are there any Bronco Nation moments when we were on the field where you like with the crowd, you're like, oh, this is sweet. Like just being on the field and seeing fan interactions, or what was a good moment?
I would say Air Force last year on senior night. Just because we had I think that was one of the first, not one of the first, but while we were there, one of the first times we had a packed crowd for the day after Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
And it was cool to have a sellout. And even though, we were playing to hopefully have a chance to play in the championship, but like our odds at that point weren't really great, but Bronco Nation still showed out, and the blue was rocking that night, and we needed every bit of it. So that was probably mine. That was a really special game. That was fun.
I like when they sing like Now It's Friends in Low Places, like being on the field for that, and like all the boys are singing, even the coaches are getting into it a little bit, and you just hear the whole entire crowd with the lights. Like that's kind of a time where you're like, you've been so focused on the game, you can kind of sit back and be like, oh, this is
because it's a 5-minute commercial break.
You got
plenty of time.
There is one commercial break my senior year. I don't remember. We had to be on defense down near the south end zone and TV timeout, and I got that whole end zone going crazy, and then the whole stadium, before they even got back out on the field, out of the TV timeout, everyone was hyped and like ready to go. That was one of the coolest moments.
Yeah.
Is that a Fresno?
It might have been. It might have been one of those Fresno games.
I think I actually remember that. That's awesome. We got my favorite question. How come we always run up the middle, or only run up the middle? And I would say, A, because we're really good at it. We get a lot of big plays out of it. Not every play is going to work perfect. And at the end of the day, like, we're not going to question the best offensive coordinator in college football.
Yeah.
It sets up a lot of other stuff, whatever. I'm sure at some point, though, they have other answers if they ever need to get to them. Haven't really needed that a whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
and it just wears them down too. Like having to tackle Ashton up the middle every single play.
Yeah, double team.
No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that.
And I would say this. I mean, the other thing that up the middle does is it allows double teams. So you think that doesn't – that's the schematic part of it. You think that doesn't wear people down with Ben Dooley and Cage Casey and – all those guys wearing you out. You're like, yeah, that matters.
And Ashton also has great vision. He's going to find holes where there aren't any. So, I mean.
Yeah, that keeps coming up over and over. And I just wanted to address that because there's a reason they do it. And I'm not in there every day to tell you exactly what it is. But, A, it's working. Mm-hmm. So,
opens up the shot plays.
Exactly.
Sure. On the outside.
Up.
2 games ago, it was like, just free for all.
So it's easy to say that didn't work, but there's more to it than that.
No one's calling a play for it not to work. We want every play to be a touchdown.
Exactly.
BJ said, "Hey, that wasn't me asking about running."
I actually assumed it was.
Yeah, his burner account. He's got
if somebody doesn't think San Jose will be a pushover, I think we touched on that earlier. They're going to be a tough game.
Oh, yeah, they're a good squad.
Miami's going to be a tough game. Oregon State's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all tough games at this point. And the hardest thing to do, and you guys can talk about this because you guys have been in this situation, but, there is way more pressure on Boise State than there is on San Jose State.
Oh, yeah.
And the way you alleviate that is by preparing the way you've prepared all the way to this point. You don't change anything. Mm-hmm. If you do that, then it's going to be okay. But if you start trying to worry about what's down the road, and that's why Spence is always talking about what's the biggest game, this game.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can talk about that for a minute, but I think that's reality.
Yeah, like you and Coach G and everyone used to say, you don't have to put your Superman cape on just because the moment might be a little bigger or the stakes might be a little higher, you know, like just go back to what works, what's worked for you in the past, and that'll be plenty.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's whenever at that point, that's when everyone needs to star in their role. Do their job. Don't try to be bigger than the team. Just do your thing, do your job, get in, get out. Doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be pretty. Just get the job done. 1-0 every week.
No doubt.
This really is like the SWAT team mentality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like get in, get out,
These next two,
get the job done, get everybody on plane with you and go home.
going to San Jose, like you said, it's gonna be dead. Like most likely, it's not gonna be insane there. And then Wyoming, they always play us tough. It's not a tough place. It's not an easy place to travel to.
It's not going to be warm. I'll
Yeah,
tell you
it's
that.
not gonna be warm.
The benches will most definitely be out.
It might not snow, but I promise you, even if it does not snow, it will not be warm.
Nice.
You're in the away locker room butt to butt with the guy across the aisle from you. Like not comfortable conditions. You're driving however far from the hotel to the game.
Yeah.
All that.
BJ said best, worst person at giving pregame speeches. Best or worst person? Best or worst? Oh, best or worst.
I'll give a sneaky one who always got the boys going. Coach Marks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the chest where you're smacking your chest.
He would always get the boys going early. He was the real rah. Where my dog's at? Was that what you say?
Yeah. Wartime.
Yeah.
Pig walking out.
Yeah, pit wartime. That's he does. All he's got to do is that.
I miss that, dude.
Coach D's a really good pregame.
Coach D.
Coach Chins. Coach Chins is good.
Coach Chins was awesome. I would always go over because he would hype up the defense and get him going. And I would just be in the background. I'm like, dude, because he just spoke so well and said exactly what you needed to hear. I don't know. There wasn't really any like terrible ones. I'll probably say the worst one that I had was with Avalos after the game. And we had a thing where we were like, you know, we have the tree of like climbing the mountain, and he would give us a dry erase marker and X off the team we just beat. And one time DJ did it the week before, right after the game when everyone was hype, and DJ took the marker and X'd it off, and it was sick, like cool environment. He gave it to me probably 40 minutes after the game. Half the team's in the shower, half the team is gone, and he's like, Riley, like get everyone fired up and go cross it off. There's like 20 people in there. And I'm like,
that was a hard sell.
I was like, I really don't want to do this. And so he gave it to me, and I tried to like put it off, and he kept looking at me. He's like, all right, let's go. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I just got to go in. And all the boys, I'm getting some of the guys before I go. I'm like, please hype me up when I do this, because there's nobody in here. And I go to do it, and everyone's looking at me so confused. They're like, why are you doing this so late? And we all go to Yoitomo the next week, and all the boys are giving me shit. They were like, that was terrible. They're like, why did you do that? I was like, I promise I was trying to get out of it, but that was a hard beat for me for sure. That was not good.
Yeah.
I
don't remember any bad ones.
I don't remember any really bad ones either.
Yeah, nothing that like just absolutely killed your vibe before the game.
Yeah,
that I can think of.
There may have been one Pitt had to do over.
I heard about that. Yeah,
that's for another time. Yeah, worst visiting locker room.
Wyoming, and worst field conditions when it's just icy and you hit the ground, it feels like concrete.
Yeah, San Diego State, the old stadium was never a lot of fun. You didn't mind it too much because at least it was like 70 degrees.
Right.
Whatever, but
you had the stalls, though. You had the stalls, at least. There's a little more room.
Yeah. I was talking about the field, though.
Oh, the field,
By the time we played there, usually it was like dirt.
Oh, that's how the soccer field was.
Yeah. But the locker room, too, was bad. It used to, like, drip out of the stand.
Yeah.
There's a reason they nuked Qualcomm.
Yeah. Washington was rough too. It was a nice field, but it was just a different type of turf, like super thin turf, and everyone was just slipping. And everyone was giving us crap for it, but I mean, it's on us because it's fundamentally you got to be able to. It exposes it, but it was like people were changing cleats, and it was just the same thing. And that was tough. I remember first game of the year, just being used to the blue and going out on a different turf.
Yeah.
Was tough. But other than that, yeah, I always like playing on grass.
Oregon, sorry, coach. Oregon State's field was really bad.
Oh yeah,
That was really bad.
No offense taken.
Yeah,
it's better than when I was there.
Right. Cranes going in the background.
We used to have like old school AstroTurf when we played there.
Yeah.
The field would flood. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I got the worst turf during that game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Fresno's turf is bad. She just gets beat by that sun during the summer.
Worst field was before you guys got there at the against Baylor on the Diamondbacks field.
Oh, I was there.
Yeah, before they got there.
Yeah,
that was bad. That was at that thin baseball turf out there, that grass out there. No, everyone was slipping on that one.
Yeah,
I think I remember watching that game and them talking about how bad people were slipping.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't great, but again, it was 75 degrees in December, so and indoor.
True.
Yeah.
This is a good question to end on. It said, how is it coming to Boise as an outsider? I mean, we all came from different places, and obviously we've all stayed out here, but just like your initial reaction to Boise, and then what kind of drew you in to stay long term?
Just the community, there's Boise State football is the biggest deal here, like everyone, there's no pro team. So everyone is all in on Boise State. And I think that's super special. And just that blue turf and the community, everyone behind it, it makes something special. And everyone in the community just is so bought in and cares about everyone. It's a big family. It feels like.
Yeah, Joe hit on the head. I mean, the only place to describe this, Boise, is special. I mean, you got to experience it to know what we're talking about. But I remember I came up here for an official visit in June, first time. And as soon as I walked through those doors in that facility, I knew instantly, like, this is where I was going to be and this is where I was meant to be. So just that, like, instant, like Joe Pro said, like, instantly felt like a family. And you knew that you were going to be taken care of here regardless, whether you're far away from home or whether you're from Boise and you're going right down the street. But like Joe Bro says, just a special place.
It's hard to describe. It's hard to put like one word on it.
It is hard to.
It's a lot more feeling than
yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And like even being a Florida boy, I was nervous. I didn't even know where Boise was and that it was completely across the country. And but like besides Boise and like having the city and the Greenbelt Mountains, like everything you could imagine, never being bored. But then it was all the people, like you said. Like I remember I came on my official and met DJ and Jay Henney and B-Hawk for the first time, and we hit it off right away. Running the beer pong table.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, this place is
soda
awesome.
though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was soda. But and then like, just the fans out here too. Like you run in and you have conversations with random people that know you from football. Like even to this day, like will come up and have a conversation with you. And it's not all about football. They care about what you're doing now and just you as people. So everybody that's came to visit me been like, the people out here are just so awesome and care about you. So that's the biggest thing, just having all the resources and all the people and community that you have out here. It's hard to beat trying to go somewhere else.
Yeah, coming from California and probably Florida is not much different, but like you walk in those grocery store and someone says hi to you and you're like,
yeah,
excuse me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just in here to get groceries. Don't mind me. It's different here though. It's special for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we'll close it up with BJ's got a little announcement there. Anybody that wants to join BJ and Johnny Mallory at Taco Bell at 9 a.m. tomorrow, free breakfast. So, BJ, I hope you'll get some people. Well, I'm sure you'll get some people to take you up on that. So,
no doubt.
Come on down, get a free breakfast on the Taco Bell guys. And, thank you guys for coming on, showing up. And sharing some stories. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you. It's been a long time coming, so I'm glad we got him on here.
Whenever you need me, just text me, give me a heads up, and I'll be here.
We'll get you and Nick back together.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get DJ and Dusty back.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, I'll bring my brother. We'll just have all of those.
Heck
do
yeah.
No doubt.
But excited to do that. And I think we closed with this a while back, but just on a personal note, you never know what's going to happen in life. So enjoy it as you go. We lost a special guy today, part of Bronco Nation. I'm not going to, really say too much more about it than that and let his family be the ones to say that. But, a lot of people got things going on, and, appreciate those around you, especially as we talk about family here most weeks. So,
yes, sir.
Really appreciate that. And, I think over the next few days, all the things that this guy's done for Bronco Nation will be hopefully celebrated.
Absolutely.
Because he's an awesome dude.
Definitely.
So,
yes, sir.
Yep.
But thank you guys again. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
As always, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.